good song.
No.
Oh.
I don't understand that. This one.
Yes, that's more like it.
Well, so what's that one doing over there?
Oh, I don't know.
I did that. Sorry about that, Marty.
That's no
Microphone
problem.
issues.
Finishing off, you're all right, Greg. Finishing off with the naughty alarm clock for another day with bad decisions. Greg, you have a good day and a good show. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Marty. I do appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow morning, and you can listen to Marty, of course, from 6:30. We're taking over now for the next 3 hours on the 9 Till Noon Show, and to lead us in, let's say a... 1 second now, that's on the wrong button. Yes, let's say a good morning now to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. A teenage boy has passed away after a quad bike crash in County Derry on Tuesday morning. 14-year-old Isaac Roxburgh from Burnfoot, Dungiven, died from his injuries in hospital yesterday. PSNI are again appealing for information in relation to the single vehicle collision that happened shortly before 11:30 on the Ballygudden Road. It's in a meticulous investigation to establish the circumstances of the incident. Police ask anyone who noticed the red Honda quad in the area to call 101. They also extended their condolences to Isaac's family. The home of a Garda from County Meath was attacked while he was deployed to the Donegal International Rally under Operation Nexus. The Irish Independent reports that car enthusiast Garda Christopher Lynch was one of the key personnel assigned to the project to engage with young drivers. While he was away, a window in his home was smashed with a stone, causing damage to the interior and exterior of the property. It's understood his young family was home at the time. Local Gardaí are now investigating. A former government minister has suggested cocaine is being taken in Leinster House. Alan Kelly made the comments in the Dáil, saying there's a narrative being cremated among the middle class, saying that using cocaine is okay. He said the drug is now being used in every corner of Ireland and imagines it also is in Leinster House. Health Minister Stephen Donnelly says he's not aware of this.
Well, I don't know if it is. I've certainly seen no evidence of it. But we do have a significant issue. There is a rising use. We have ongoing demands for people who are in addiction.
The government is being asked to increase funding for the Alzheimer's Society of Ireland in Budget 2025. The organisation is looking for €5.5 million and says demands for services have increased by 18% since last year. It says the extra money is needed to support those living with dementia and those caring for them. Head of advocacy with ASI, Clodagh Whelan, says they want everyone to be able to avail of all services.
We as an organisation are ambitious for the lives of people living with dementia and for those who care and support them. We want everyone across the country to be able to access daycare at home, our weekend activity clubs, because we know dementia doesn't end on a Friday.
The Irish Airline Pilots Association and Aer Lingus are set to start fresh talks in around half an hour's time. The airline's pilots are undertaking a work to rule in a row over pay, with an 8-hour work stoppage taking place on Saturday. Aer Lingus says nearly 40,000 passengers have been impacted by the work to rule by members of IALPA, including 270 cancelled flights up to next Tuesday. Pilots are looking for a nearly 24% pay rise, which IALPA says is a cumulative of inflation since 2019. Having a look now to weather, cool, wet and rather windy. Blustery outbreaks of rain will extend in across the province during the morning, persisting into the afternoon and evening. That's with highs of 13 to 15 degrees. That's all for now from Highland Radio News. Back with more at 10 o'clock.
If you're not with Energy, chances are you're paying more than you need to for your electricity. As Ireland's newest energy provider, we offer Ireland's cheapest electricity rate, saving our customers up to €500 per year. So if you want to pay less for energy, simply pay a visit to unoenergy.ie and sign up for big savings with smaller bills. With Energy, you just know. Energy fixed discount rate EAB €1415. For T's and C's and rates, see unoenergy.ie. Suppliers' pricing may change.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning to you. You're very welcome along to the programme. The 27th of June, it's 4 minutes past 9, and we're here for the next 3 hours of the 9 Til Noon Show. Lots of things to discuss over the course of the morning, including the EU Migration Pact signed into law last night by the Dáil. A narrow enough margin, isn't it? Just 6 votes, I think, separating those in favour of it and those against, but it now is locked in for the long term. That is democracy, I suppose. But anyway, many people out there not overjoyed with it. We'll be talking about that a little later on in the programme. That and so much more besides. WhatsApps and texts. We invite them to 086 60 25,000. If texting isn't your thing, don't forget you can send a voice note to WhatsApp 086 60 25,000. If you want to give us a call, 07491 25,000, and email comes to us via comments@highlandradio.com. You can watch the show as always at home on your smart TV or your Fire Stick if you wish. Just open up YouTube and type in Highland Radio Ireland. You'll see we're live, and you can take us with you on Facebook, Highland Hub, Highland News and Sport, and on X at Highland Radio. The Tyrconnell Tribune reports of big changes afoot, and this is a story we'll have plenty of reaction to a little later on in terms of policing in this county. Donegal's 4 Garda divisions are being reduced to 2 operational locations from the autumn. The biggest changes ever in Garda operations in the county will see services being managed in Letterkenny and Ballyshannon from the autumn. The Inishowen Peninsula will now be integrated into Letterkenny, and along with the transfer of services from Milford, this will create the North Donegal Division. The rest of the county will become known as Donegal South, run out of Ballyshannon. The Milford District Headquarters, along with the office of the Garda Superintendent, will be lost to Letterkenny, and this will add to a substantial reduction in administration amid fears that the local Garda station will no longer operate on a 24-hour basis. It's not immediately clear, though, how many Gardaí or administration staff will remain in Milford, although there is a public viewpoint that numbers cannot fall much lower than they are at present. Almost all of Milford's outlying stations are already closed, and none of them is expected to open again. The current Milford area, stretching from Fana to Tory Island, along with other areas of the former Glenties district, will now be divided between Letterkenny and Ballyshannon. So a whole swathe of the south of the county now will come out of Ballyshannon, as well as the reference here to the more northern part of the county. These changes will see the transfer of Garda operations in areas of West Donegal, including Creeslough, Falcarra, Gweedore and the Rosses, and other parts of the former Glenties district going to either Letterkenny or Ballyshannon. The Ballybofey Garda station area will also transfer there, according to sources. Progress on these changes to create a new policing model stalled last August as the local and European elections added a political dimension to the concept of policing the county's most remote locations. So it was taken off the table effectively whilst the elections played out. And it didn't feature much policing as an election issue, it has to be said. These changes aren't in effect yet, of course. They come into effect in autumn. And as I say, we've got a range of guests joining us a little later on to express their views on that. And what are the ramifications for it? I haven't been in a Garda station physically for a very long time, so I'm not sure how much I'd be affected personally by a Garda station not being there any longer. But if it does affect how policing is done in the community and the surrounding areas of that, then of course it does have ramifications. But we'll tease all of that out. But get your views in nice and early on that to 086 60 25,000. The Donegal News, permission to practice on the Loreto Letterkenny's Steinway piano in advance of a 15-year-old getting ready to sit at Royal Irish Academy of Music exam changed the life of a Milford teenager from which he has never looked back. Gerard O'Donnell was practicing his piece on the piano as people milled about the hall, setting up for a recital in the convent that evening. He became conscious of someone watching him close by. To his shock and surprise, the internationally acclaimed pianist John O'Connor told him to keep playing, but told him in a very posh Dublin accent that while he was talented, his technique needed work. Thus began his mentoring by the famous maestro, and an amazing journey which now sees Gerard living in Spain, playing and composing. More on that story on the front of and inside the Donegal News this morning. The Derry News. A Derry dentistry practice has announced that it would be restructuring its practice. A Great James Street Dental told patients the decision has come due to rising costs and the impending crisis in the NHS dental care sector. Meave Owens, owner of the practice, lobbied politicians for years, hoping to find a solution to save it. But as things got worse, she felt she had to make this very difficult decision. Dr. Owens said, "The people of Derry have been really good to me and I have loved every bit of it, but the last few years have been incredibly challenging." On to the nationals now, and the story of Cathal Crotty and his victim continues to make the front pages today, and lots of coverage inside as well. The front of the Irish Times, as I mentioned, the Defence Forces Management hopes to be able to expel soldier Cathal Crotty by early next week following his conviction for beating a woman unconscious in Limerick in 2022. Last Thursday, Crotty, 22, received a suspended sentence for violently attacking Natasha O'Brien on the street after she asked him to stop shouting homophobic abuse at passers-by. In the hours after the attack, Crotty, an army private from County Clare, boasted to friends on Snapchat, 2 to put her down, 2 to put her out, in reference to striking Miss O'Brien 4 times. Noting the impact a custodial term could have on the soldier's career, Judge Tom O'Donnell imposed a 3-year suspended sentence and ordered Crotty to pay €3,000 in compensation to Miss O'Brien. And that case has prompted significant public and political controversy, with thousands taking part in protests over the weekend in support of Ms O'Brien and against the leniency of the sentence. So it turns out his army career is going to be over in any case. The Irish Independent reports that a bomb threat has been made against the home of Taoiseach Simon Harris. The threat led to a security alert at the Taoiseach's Wicklow home last night while his wife and young children were present. And such is the way the world is going at the moment, for right or wrong. There was it actually got a reasonable bit of traction on social media last evening, suggesting that this was a white flag. Is it white flag again? What do you call it? The terminology anyway. That this simply never happened, and that this was designed to take the headlines away from the vote on the EU election, the EU migration pact. And a lot of people actually believed it. It seemed to get an awful lot of traction. But anyway, I'll start the read again. A bomb threat has been made against the home of Taoiseach Simon Harris. The threat led to a security alert at the Taoiseach's Wicklow home last night while his wife and young children were present. The Independent understands that a person rang the Samaritans helpline and stated that a bomb had been placed at the house of Mr Harris while also giving a code word. Garda rushed to the home where a search was carried out. No device was found, and the Taoiseach's family did not have to be evacuated. While the incident is now being treated as a hoax, security sources have expressed serious concerns. This is outrageous. This is a family home, one source said. On to the Irish Daily Mail now, and Virgin Media is in line for a slice of the pie of public money after Media Minister Catherine Martin told Cabinet that RTE's rival must form part of discussions on funding public broadcasting. In March, the Irish Mail on Sunday revealed that Virgin Media had written to the Minister seeking $30 million a year in funding for its public service output. Cabinet sources have now confirmed to this newspaper that Ms Martin wants the rival station included in the ongoing talks. The government's expected to make a decision next month on a new funding model for the controversy-stricken state broadcaster. I'll quickly go to page 6. But the coalition parties remain divided about the pathway forward. Green Party TD Miss Martin favours funding public broadcasting directly through the Exchequer, but Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil are staunchly opposed to this and prefer a reformed TV licence at a reduced rate, which would be collected by revenue. Miss Martin said a large portion of the funding for public service media already comes directly from government coffers. Would you be happy to see Virgin Media getting 30 mil out of that taxpayers' money? Listen, everyone praises RTE, and rightly so, for their good work that they do in terms of, some of their exposés and what have you. But that's because they've got the resources. Any media organisation could do that type of work if they had the money to pay staff to spend the long amount of time it takes to create such output. So why not have another player in the game? The Irish Farmers Journal, the expected opening of the 20 million National Beef Welfare Scheme is unclear, with Minister for Agriculture Charlie McConnell non-committal on the date. Suckler farmers with autumn and early spring-born wheelings are increasingly anxious that they could miss out on payments as sales dates approach. On to the Irish Star now this morning. Housing Minister Darragh O'Brien, he's defended houses in an affordable scheme costing nearly €500,000. Correspondence sent to councillors this week shows the minimum purchase price of a house at the Oscar Traynor Woods site in Coolock, Dublin, range from $264,000 to $399,000 as part of the Affordable Housing Programme. Now, this is an actual scheme A discount is given if the council and government take an equity stake in the home. Buyers going over a lower equity stake will pay up to €475,000 for a 3-bed semi-detached. As he opened a new housing development in Dublin yesterday, Mr. O'Brien was asked if he believed €475 could be considered affordable under the scheme. He said very few people would end up paying this much for the homes. When the Star pointed out that the homes he was talking about were not affordable, he argued there is a range. Meanwhile, more than 7 in 10 struggling to pay their bills at the end of the month. They are struggling after forking out for rent. I mean, I don't know in any scenario how $500,000 could be seen as affordable anywhere at all. But then again, if he sees that as affordable and that's how much it costs to deliver a house, he maybe needs to take another look at the Defective concrete block scheme, where he's asking people to rebuild their homes for much less than what he might categorise as affordable. Many of you out there have been following the Jay Slater story. It's one of those ones that obviously there's a missing person involved, and I'm not in any way trivialising that, but the internet sleuths have become involved in this, and some of the theories on this are crazy. But the story is obviously that of a missing person, but I've not seen too often, once or twice before, a story where there is so much social media speculation and activity, and regular people in a bungalow in Somerset trying to crack the case. But anyway, missing Jay Slater was seen celebrating at a bar while watching the Euros, mayor in Tenerife claims. Jay vanished last Monday, sparking a frantic police search with helicopters, drones and sniffer dogs. But locals claim they spotted the 19-year-old on the coast 10 hours after his last phone call. The mayor revealed several people in the resort town of Los Gigantes, had told police that Jay had been seen watching the football tournament. Emilio Jose Navarro said police have interviewed people who could have seen him. Some think they saw him celebrating in a bar during the Euro matches. He added police are studying CCTV images. But as I say, that is a story that just has so much interest. Taylor Swift's Seismic Eras Tour concerts in Dublin this week may even set off earthquakes, researchers have revealed. Boffins are even placing seismometers outside the Aviva Stadium to ensure the ground-shaking activities generated by Swifties during the 3 concerts. The data measured at the Aviva will be used to work out what songs are fan favourites and what's happening inside the stadium. I'm not really sure it's going to determine what songs are fan favourites, because, of course, you could have a very slow song that most people favour, that people aren't jumping up and down for, and you could have a faster song that isn't necessarily a fan favourite, and they'll be hopping around the place, so I wouldn't use that to measure it. Look at streams on Spotify. That work's already done for you, folks. You don't need to set up seismic meters. The seismometers is a very sensitive instrument which measures ground vibrations and can be used to detect earthquakes. Okay, there you go. I saw pictures yesterday of people already queuing well in advance for the merch stands. They were queuing for the merch stands. Crazy. Not crazy, sorry, I don't mean crazy as in it's the wrong thing to do. I mean, it's just crazy how, in the pejorative sense, how big fans are, how devoted fans can be, if that makes sense. Right, we got an email in, and we've posted this on our social media as well. You can have a look at it and make a comment if you so wish. But it came in as follows. Please ask Greg to give a shout out to anyone with an opinion or judgment. Please think before you speak. When you see and hear children throwing tantrums, shouting, crying in public, please think before you speak. When a person stands in your way not moving, suck it up, move around them. They either have no manners or you have none. Please think before you speak. I was told by an older lady today I should have left my 49-year-old husband at home while grocery shopping. I told her that would be hard when he has dementia. Maybe you should mind your manners. Her apologies were useless. Whilst out and about this summer, says our correspondent, just mind your own business. Step around the person not moving or the child that isn't having a great day and move on with your perfect life. Or is it? So you can. What effectively happened here is this person's out with their husband, just 49 years of age. He has dementia. I don't know how that was. I don't know how that impacted his behaviour in the shop, but someone thought they needed to intervene and tell the woman to leave her husband at home. And then it was pointed out to her that he has dementia, and then she apologised, but this listener says the apologies are useless. So what do you think? Has that been an experience of yours? We do talk about that on the radio quite a bit, you know. people with conditions that may make it appear maybe they're intoxicated or something along those lines. As I say, if that resonates with you, let us know. 086 60 25,000, or you can give us a call as always on 07491 25,000.
Daily newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra and Diner, Mountaintop Letterkenny, winner of Best Family Dining at the Highland Radio Hospitality Awards.
Here at Kelly Cleaning Equipment, we have everything you need to clean your home, garden and business. As an official Gold Plus cashier dealer, we offer brand-leading domestic and commercial pressure washers, vacuum cleaners, floor scrubbers, steam cleaners, carpet cleaners and much more. Come and see us at Eurohouse, Killybegs Road, Donegal Town, or online at kellycleaningequipment.ie. And for a limited time only, claim up to €150 cashback when purchasing a cashier professional pressure washer. Kelly Cleaning Equipment. Choose cashier.
Farmer fury over acres payment delays. For more in your Irish Farmers Journal is Paul Mooney.
Irate farmers vent frustration at the continuing acres payment debacle. New beef welfare scheme set to be delayed. Farmers who flout fertiliser register rules to face serious penalties. With the latest job cuts in the dairy industry, what lies ahead for the sector? Cash for carbon farming? What could it mean for your farm? Plus, find out why contractors are embracing self-driving tractors.
All inside the Irish Farmers Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out ShaneConleyCars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonaher Road, Donegal Town.
I've just had the Eclipse Cinemas experience. Wow, they truly have taken a night at the movies to a whole new level. Amazing recliner chairs, director's lounge VIP rooms, pizza and hot food served to your seat. Have a glass of wine and enjoy the film on the big screen. Try it for yourself at Eclipse Cinemas Bundoran and Lifford Strabane, where the stars shine brighter. By the way, the pizzas are amazing. You can book your seat anytime at eclipsecinemas.ie.
Ladies, discover exceptional gynecology care at Greenview Medical Centre, Letterkenny. Dr. Eliana Castaneda, an obstetrics and gynecology consultant with over 20 years of compassionate patient-centred care, offers comprehensive gynecology exams, advanced fertility treatments, pelvic floor care and aesthetic medicine. To meet with Dr. Eliana, book now on greenviewmedicalcentre.ie or call 074 920 2070. Greenview Medical Centre, Letterkenny, a new health horizon.
Okay, so as many of you would be aware, Donegal at one point had five districts, in Donegal, 5 Garda districts. That was brought down to 4, and now from November it appears that it's going to be reduced to 2 operating locations. The biggest changes ever in Garda operations in this county. Services will be managed out of Letterkenny and Ballyshannon from the autumn. It is yet to be fully decided what will be encompassed in Letterkenny and Ballyshannon, but you can probably work it out geographically looking at the map But anyway, to discuss this further, we've got a number of guests. We're going to say good morning first to Councillor Jerry McMonagle, Chair of the Joint Policing Committee. Thank you very much for joining us, Jerry. There is some speculation in the paper today that this was a decision that was deferred until we got over the local and European elections, but now it's going to be introduced from November. What's your reaction to it?
Yeah, well, good morning, Greg, and thanks for raising this topic. Yeah, look, after we've had a couple of meetings with the Commissioner, Drew Harris, over this last couple of years, and we're talking about then there was the proposal that we would be amalgamated with Sligo Leitrim, and we had a battle with that there, and we felt that we won that battle then, and Donegal got to stand alone. And then slowly but surely it started filtering into that decision that we could possibly lose a superintendent in Milford area, and that would be subsumed into Letterkenny. And now we see the outworkings of that in that Ballyshannon and Letterkenny are going to be the two district headquarters. And to be honest, I think that's a retrograde step. It's taking the Garda further away from the local communities, and I think we all would agree that the best policing services you're going to have is when that policing service is integrated and based in its local communities, and that it has a good working relationship. And the outworkings of that there are of many intelligence, good relations, hundreds of pairs of eyes other than the Garda Síochána itself. It has worked to date. I don't know why we have to change it. I think moving away from district headquarters into two headquarters for Letterkenny and Ballyshannon, the geographic size of Donegal alone would clearly tell you this is a no-no. It shouldn't happen. And again, I would worry about Milford. I know they've said they're going to continue, that Milford is going to operate, but I would worry that it would operate on a 24-hour basis after a period of time. I also worry about when the Commissioner talked about having specialist units that would focus on certain aspects of crime. And while that's welcome, it's still your policing units, your presence needs to be in local communities. And as I say, I think it's a retrograde step, and I hope it's one that we can maybe overturn in a couple of months ahead. But I would find it difficult to fully believe that.
All right, let's go to Milford. Councillor Liam Blaney, your reaction to the fear now that Milford District Garda Station will certainly close as a district station, but it's sort of role in the community going forward.
Good morning, Greg. And, to see them headlines and the Chicago Tribune here this morning that Milford's going to be downgraded or possibly be downgraded, and John Utah has his finger on the pulse anyway, as far as everything is concerned. It's a total disaster for this area. And I think if you compare it to, as what he's doing there, is comparing it to the likes of Atlantis, the time it was downgraded. At one stage it was up to 45 Gardaí in Milford. Now, if you compare it to Atlantis today, Atlantis has 5 Gardaí on their station. And if you take it on a 12-hour shift, the majority of the time there's only 1 guard on a 12-hour shift. And if there's a serious incident taking place anywhere, that guard has to wait till backup comes from other stations before they can leave that station to go out to it. And that's what we could be looking at in the Milford area.
Yeah, and of course,
a major step backwards, and we cannot stand and take it.
And of course, as you said, John's spot on here. It is going to happen. It's coming in from November. I think really, rather than it being resisted, the conversation that seems to be happening with senior Gardaí here and from Dublin is how many divisional engagement areas there are. There are calls for 3 community divisional engagement areas. Dublin, I understand, are only giving 2. That's yet to be decided. They want Gardaí centrally want Donegal South, Donegal North, with a super based in Buncrana. The business services would be based in Letterkenny with a crime superintendent based there, which I think is seen as a good thing. And on it goes.
No,
right.
I'm not.
Okay, now we are going to bring into the conversation now Brendan O'Connor, former president of the GRA. Brendan, good morning to you. Thanks for your time. This has been in the works for quite some time. What's your take on it?
Well, Greg, look, we're trying to be positive, and we're supposed to embrace change and not always cling to the past. But unfortunately, the feedback from our members, particularly in rural divisions, is that this new model isn't particularly successful. Creates a lot of spreading resources more thinly. So what we're being asked to do is embrace a complete change in how policing is delivered at a time when the organisation nationally is struggling to maintain numbers. So, the most basic thing that we need in a Garda Síochána is guards, and that's operational members that people see in the community. So our numbers are dropping. So to bring in this change, certainly we don't believe it's opportune at this time because of the challenges on our members. So, and as alluded to there by previous speakers, the experience in Donegal of the removal of the staff at district headquarters has led to less visibility and less guards in communities. So I know some people would argue that the word downgrading is inappropriate, but let's be realistic. It is a form of downgrading. And when Milford was at its strongest, it wasn't covering the parts of West Donegal like Dunloe and Bunbeg, which were under the old Glenties district. But also we have to remember that stations like Carrickeel, Carrigard, Kilmacrennan, Churchill all had their own autonomous stations there and guard stations. So now what we have is a skeleton crew in Milford covering a massive geographical area. Those stations are not manned, only on an occasional basis. But so now what we're seeing is, and let's say where I work in Dunfanaghy and Falcara, we rely on the district headquarters car to come out and supplement us. Now, we will actually have no working relationship anymore. The guards in Creasha will be relying on Ballyshannon as our district headquarters or our functional area. Now, people would say the old model is broken, it's archaic, it's ancient. It actually worked pretty well, and a lot of the guards that I speak to would say that even the downgrades in recent times have seen a dilution of service. So certainly we don't have the confidence. Also, when this model was first rolled out and we were told that we were going to be joined with Sligo, which thankfully common sense said that wouldn't work, the model that was unveiled in that time was 3 functional areas for Donegal. And now the kind of logic, or it hasn't been said officially, but is, look, you're getting to stay on your own as a division and keep a chief superintendent. Make do with 2. This is the compromise. Make do with 2 functional areas. But the geography of Donegal hasn't changed because we're no longer going in with 2 divisions. So certainly, we just think it's fewer resources spread more thinly. And there's guidelines for how many, particularly inspectors, are required to make this model work. We don't have them in Donegal. There's a talk about a better reliance on Garda staff to free up Garda. The Garda staff aren't there. The offices aren't there. The infrastructure. So what we're saying is, yeah, we've an open mind. We will embrace change. But this is now, the old thing is always the case in the guards. Force it through. Make it work. Sure, do your best. This is the policy. This is the strategy. It's coming in. And the fear is that the authorities on high and the people in Dublin that don't really understand rural policing and certainly don't understand the uniqueness of Donegal will say, yeah, it's in and it's working.
And of course, we have seen what happens when we are given commitments of change and that it will improve things and we'll see more Gardaí out and about and it will free up patrols. And that evidently hasn't been the case. Also, too, and this is probably not the most important element of this from the public's perspective, from a staff's perspective, presumably people will want to relocate and trying to do that in the midst of a housing crisis too. That's certainly not factored into this whole debate. How big an issue that might be, I don't know.
No, it certainly is a factor. And the wider social pictures and things. Another thing that's also lost that isn't in this conversation is this model was first talked about a few years ago. Policing has even changed in those few years. The population has increased. The challenges are immense. We have the whole area of increased population. We have people from different backgrounds come into communities. There's a little bit of tension, might be overplayed, but some people are trying to exploit that. So there actually is a need for Gardaí in the communities with their fingers on the pulse. And what this is really moving towards is what's in other European countries, which is lose the uniqueness of an Garda Síochána. That's guards in the communities. It's going to be fewer Gardaí travelling further distances to deal with incidents. And then when the public have a problem, it could be a problem where the Garda needs to discuss with the manager who has responsibility. I mean, is someone in Creasha and Fanny going to have to drive to Ballyshannon in the hope of meeting a superintendent when there was a superintendent in Milford, which is probably too far for the people in Dunloe. That was a downward step. But as I say, we're told is, look, it won't make any difference to Gardaí. You log on, you'll answer, you'll go to calls. But our whole way of working, our whole structures based around and our professional interactions is with our colleagues in Milford. As I say, Lacker Bridge will now be a line on a map that never was, and we'll be looking in a different direction. That's from our own perspective where I'm stationed. But certainly there is a lack of confidence that this can work. And it's basically down to a lack of resources. The organisation is struggling with recruitment and retention, and this is not going to help and may actually drive out more of the senior Gardaí who are used to working the old system and are going to look at this and say, this isn't working, I don't relate to it, and there's no proper analysis, and there's no look back, and there's no proper feedback from the people delivering people. So it's a rush decision. It's as usual. It comes down from on high. Implement this, and certainly doesn't take into consideration the uniqueness of Donegal.
Okay, Councillor Jay McMonagle, I have not come across or haven't seen or haven't heard any public information, any argument, any discussion as to how this might actually benefit the people of Donegal, how that this might improve response times, the availability of Garda, the visibility of Garda. I've seen nothing articulated to try and sell this to us, the wider public.
Regularly was raised at the GPC by councillors and the PPA.
Okay, we've lost your audio, Jerry. I'll come back to you in a second. I'll put the same question to you, Councillor Liam Blaney. Where is the articulation of what this actually means, to the public? It's not. I don't see it.
When we have to rely on our media to inform us of what's happening as public representatives, first of all, is not good enough. We should be part of the conversation, along with the Gardaí. I believe that the morale in the Gardaí is at a low, and I think this is definitely not going to help it. And as Brendan said, about the numbers has been decreasing. That's going to drive more of our older, experienced members of staff into retirement. And look, as far as I'm concerned, that's a total disaster, and we're going to have to fight this tooth and nail to ensure that it's increased to at least 3 divisions. And I don't think that we should be accepting this. And whenever you hear the likes of Lack of Bridge, the new Ballyshannon area come over as far as Lack of Bridge, how long will it take to drive from Lack of Bridge or Creasla or Defana, as Brenda said, to Ballyshannon, or for the other way about either? I think it's just not good enough. And I don't think we should be accepting this, and we're going to have to fight it. All right, Councillor Liam Blaney, thank you for that. Your connection's been restored there, Jerry. What were you going to say there? Just pick up from where you...
I was saying that, regularly at the joint policing committees, the issue of Gardaí and the numbers of Gardaí, the availability of vehicles for the guards was constantly raised. We've wrote to the Commissioner on many occasions about this. So we could see that the Gardaí were stretched, that local stations were closing down, that the service that communities would have been used to was no longer there. They were having to travel further distance. And I think Brendan hit the nail on the head in relation to this change. And as I say, we're not against change, but that change needs to be managed and managed properly. And it also has to be resourced. And we haven't got enough Gardaí as it is for Donegal. And we certainly, the resources, and Brendan's been very vocal on this in relation to cars, vehicles available to them at any given time. Now with these smaller, with losing local districts and going into 2 major districts, and them being the headquarters, it would surely say we would need more guards, we would need more vehicles, we would need further other resources, whether it be communications and all, they'd be working properly and in place before these changes were made. The other thing that they haven't taken account of is, obviously, they're aware of the geographic nature, but the border with the 6 counties is, there's, I think, 73 or 78 crossing points along that border. We all know about the cross-border crime and the levels of it. And that hasn't been taken into account. So now, we're Letterkenny and Ballyshannon, while Ballyshannon would be close to the border with Letterkenny, but is West Donegal, is Northwest Donegal, is that going to suffer as a result of having more resources along the border and not as many in Fanad, say?
But if I were the reality of something like this, if I were a criminal and I was interested in the movement and transportation of drugs, this would be like a Christmas present. You would feel that this coastline, quick access to a border, so on and so forth, that it would make us a hotspot for this stuff. Stay where you are, and I have other people that I'm going to bring in, but I just want to put one other question to Brendan O'Connor. Garda Brendan O'Connor. Brendan, too, if I'm not mistaken, I think we're the last area really to sort of have this model implemented. And if that is the case, or even for one of the last, we're not putting in the resources, the manpower, the vehicles and what have you to make this work. So with such a long lead in time, if we're not seeing sort of the resources that are required to operate this type of model, like if it's not happening now, it's never going to happen, surely. So we're trying to, as you've quite rightly said and others have said, we're going to go ahead with this anyway and just spread what we have even more thinly. That doesn't make sense because there's nothing to indicate why we should be reassured that this might work into the future.
No, we're not. And at the end of the day, this is government policy to implement this change, and that's what's driving it, I think. And the Garda Commissioner, in fairness to him, he was given this roadmap when he took up position. You see, this model, let's say, if you look at the Dublin Metropolitan South Central Division, where it is rolled out pretty successfully, and you have a massive, brand new, multi-storey, huge, beautiful building in Kevin Street. You have Pearse Street Station, which is probably 3 kilometres away from it. So you can move people, you can move roads, you can allocate it. But if you look at the likes of Mayo that's put into a 3-county division, and you'll see constant media reports of guards taking 40 minutes an hour to travel to serious incidents. And then you look at the complete uniqueness of Donegal. At least Mayo, in fairness, have Galway beside them, where in an emergency situation. So it's just a lack of understanding. And as you say, when it's implemented, I mean, the guards that we speak to, they'll tell us it's not working, but there's no real look back or lessons learned or real input from people to say, is this working? And unfortunately, we hear a lot about cultural organisation, and you would think that cultural organisation, only thing in the guards, is negative culture of guards having collegiality. But the reality is it's the organisation culture and the failure of managers to listen and to acknowledge problems and to deal with them. You'll always hear denial. So there's a failure to acknowledge problems with this. And we just have to look at the UK, where a similar model is rolled out. Response times, confidence, people never see police. They report crimes online and they get a reference number to give to an insurance company to make a claim. And there is a danger, and I'm not trying to scare my way out, but there is a danger that the uniqueness of policing being embedded in communities and people knowing their local guard, and we're told that's the kind of it's a contradiction, because we're told we're moving back towards community policing. We had community policing in Donegal 20 years ago. We had 2-3 guards in every station. They were accessible to the public, with their finger on the pulse. And now we're told we can have some buzzwords and some fancy terminology from another jurisdiction, and we've reinvented the wheel. And hey, this is the plan for policing. It's just a lack of common sense. But I mean, the people know that the guards aren't out there, and that the guards are out there can't do their job. So that's the nettles that needs to be grasped. But certainly, until it's properly resourced, we can't see it working. So I'm open-minded. We'll give it a chance, but with the current resourcing levels and the staff shortages, there's no possibility of it working, I don't believe.
All right, thanks very much for that. Do appreciate it. Michael McClafferty, councillor, wishes to come in as well. Good morning, Michael. You're a member, of course, of the Policing Committee too. What's your reaction to what we've been hearing?
Thank you, Greg, and thanks for highlighting this morning. The reaction is, Greg, this is total disaster just for West Donegal. That's what it is, as other members have alluded to there. Of course, like as you mentioned there, we have mentioned this many times at the JPC through our chair there, Jerry McMonigal, and our dissatisfaction with what's about to take place and going to go on here. The area is far too big, Greg, to be closing down any Garda stations. The Garda stations that have been closed over recent years is regrettable. And obviously they're not going to come back because some of them are sold off and whatnot. But I do believe that the likes of Milford should be held on to and are still there as an active working station. Expecting Gardaí or to come from Ballyshannon to down here, Christian or Fanny Folliar, whatever, or likewise expecting people from here to go up to Ballyshannon, it's not possible. It's not that it's not possible, but it's not practical. Sorry, is the word I'll be looking for. It's not practical either way. Something happens down here, and you're depending then, or even at Letterkenny, depending on the Gardaí to come in from Letterkenny, you're a good half hour away at least, Greg. And even with best intentions, there'll be hammer heard that even the car going down the road as a respectful Gardaí with the lights flashing. They have bad roads to contend with, their corners to contend with, they have traffic, they have tractors, one thing and another. They're not going to get here anytime soon. And if something's happened here in emergency, the time they land, the perpetrators of a criminal act, such a burglary, whatever, a break-in, some other kind of criminal damage, they're going to be long gone.
Michael, is it not the case though that all Garda vehicles and all Garda staff won't be based in these centres as such? Was the sale of this model to us not that these patrol cars would be freed up to be sort of driving around the districts and hope that they would be close to an emergency? I mean, that was what we were kind of being told.
Don't believe it's going to be the case, Greg, to be quite honest, which is the way things are going, because when you hear the Garda Breda O'Connor saying there about lack of staff in various respective roles. If there's lack of staff at the minute, there's how is people going to get freed up to drive around patrol cars and so on if there's lack of staff at the minute and some senior roles there, a very important role as well as every role is important obviously, but you know what I mean, you get what I'm saying, like if they have to be attached to the office, they're not going to have the time to be out driving about in the patrol car patrolling the areas as most people would like, to be fair, to give a living thing.
Councillor McClafferty, you'll be resisting it by the sounds of things. I do appreciate it. So just to give us an insight, Jerry McMonagle, as chair of the JPC, how is it argued at these meetings that Buncrana, Carndonagh is policed out of Letterkenny? Is it articulated to you guys actually how that works, or how Creesley is policed out of Ballyshannon?
No, but them the issues we have raised with the Commissioner and the Policing Authority, and what we're getting back is, look, this model will work. This is going to free up more Gardaí. It's going to put more Gardaí on the beat, make more resources available to local communities. And, you know, we're finding that very hard, have found it very hard to believe because of the experiences that we were living. So we're trying at every opportunity, and we met Drew Harris at some of the police authority meetings. We got him up to Donegal. We spoke to the mayor. We sent letters back and forwards. But they were convinced that the model would work. And as Brenton says, that's fine when you're in a city and you have a spine there of good roads, good transport, and the areas are close together. But we're sitting here, and even with Letterkenny, and you have to go now to Fanet. We have the coastline, as you mentioned, Greg. We have the border, and we already have depleted resources. We have not got a full complement of Gardaí for the area that they have to cover. The other very good point that Brenton made was the growing population, the diversity that's within our county now, and that needs to be reflected in all the services that we provide here in Donegal, but particularly in the Garda and Síochána, that there needs to be that diversity as well. But the recruitment isn't happening. The conditions for Garda at the minute are not attractive, so they're having difficulty, as we have raised on this programme in recent times, around recruitment and having enough recruits to go out there. So there's major difficulties with this, and what we should have done is had the resources in place and then looked about implementing the new model. But until we have those resources, I think this is bound to fail. And there will be regular people on your radio station talking about waiting for an hour for Gardaí. We see it with the ambulance service. We centralised all of that, and we're people are waiting now for ambulance services for over an hour at times.
And that's because these ambulances have to often respond from crazy locations to
exactly.
other locations. Not to mention our calls are already being routed through Galway. As well at the moment.
We have already seen the change in models and how they cope with the geography of the county. And, we just need to get real. We should have had the resources in place and then introduced the other point that Brenton made was around inspectors and sergeants. And the Commissioner put great store in that we would there'd be more local autonomy, that there'd be more inspectors, there'd be more sergeants. But we haven't got them. We haven't got the ordinary Gardaí that we need to implement this model. So there's going to be very trying times
But what
ahead.
is the fight now? Is the fight to keep Milford? Is that is the best we can hope to achieve, if the truth be told?
Well, I think we should be starting with that. And we need to ensure that Inishowen is
like Buncrana is the size of a county. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know,
but I still don't understand. Would any guards actually be based in Buncrana, like parking the cars up, going to work from there, police in Buncrana, or would that all be operated out of Letterkenny? Pardon my ignorance.
Well, we've been trying for quite a while now to get the Carndonagh station reinstated, and I'd say that's gone now. And so everything's going to work out at Buncrana. I mean, Inishowen is going to be sorely depleted.
But is that going to be 24/7?
Well, that's what it's looking like.
Right.
That Buncrana keeps its superintendent, and it'll be operational as it is now. But it's a massive area. It's the whole of Inishowen, as I say. It's a geographic size of County Louth. And I'd say if you had the Louth Garda model, if that could be transferred into Inishowen, they'd be very pleased, but it won't be.
Okay. Michael, quick comment from you, if you don't mind. You're concerned, are you?
Well, Greg, I'm just listening to the commentaries on, and, you know, this has been coming for a long time, because, you know, there's something bigger at play here. And I know some of your speakers there mentioned different things, but I think what's going to happen with Donegal especially and some of the rural counties is going to be an explosion of the population. And there has been an explosion in the population, and the resources hasn't been there to meet the explosion. And now since the EU migrant pact has been passed there yesterday, it's going to be, and I don't want to sound all doom and gloomy here, but I think, you know, it's coming down the line, and with the resources has been cut, and it's going to be terrible for us in rural Ireland anyway, because all the resources is going to be centralised in and around Dublin and the major cities, and the rural counties like Donegal is going to be depleted in almost everything, which has been happening over for years and years and years. And, you know, we've had public representatives, you know, and they can come on and they can talk a good talk and they can do whatever they do. But, you know, for the last 5-10 years, this has been happening in rural counties in Ireland, and our public representatives have completely failed. You know, we've seen all the resources being trained like on a daily basis, and you've had public representatives coming on from the same political parties, and they've sat in their hands and they've let it happen, and they come on and there's the same rhetoric all the time. Whenever something like this happens, they spout the same stuff, but, you know, I would call them no action men at all, because they don't do anything at all. All they do is talk.
But do you believe, really, I mean, that's the system, though, Michael, really, to some extent. And I'm not saying it's just talk. It's lobbying, it's raising issues. It doesn't matter who you elect on to Donegal County Council, if the truth be told. A lot of this stuff is out of our control. All we can do is use positions on committees and debate and discuss it and campaign. But this is not even a Garda decision. This is a government decision that the Garda are being asked to implement.
Yeah, I understand that, but I think the councillors in Donegal or the public representatives in Donegal should stand, you know, together and on a block to, you know, for to get the resources back into Donegal again. You know, there's always division between different political parties within the council or whatever, and I understand they haven't got any teeth, you know. So it makes you wonder why we even vote for them in the first place.
Okay.
Because they haven't got any teeth. So I would like to think, you know, it's going to be the same talk. And what's coming down the line for Donegal, they can get prepared for it, because yesterday changed an awful lot of stuff in Ireland. And I don't think even the public representatives, they're even scared to talk about it. But there's a tsunami coming, and, you know, I don't know what's going to be the end of it, and we haven't got the resources to cope with it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
That's all right, Michael. Thank you very much indeed. It's time to start storing the baked beans and peas, I think. Do you want a quick response to that before we wrap up? Jerry McMonagle?
No, I just to reassure Michael that we'll continue to lobby for what's best for Donegal and its people. We'll continue to do that there. And we raised an awful lot of issues, and we do make progress with some of them, but like you say, Greg, a lot of this is down to government policy and government decisions, and people want to have changes to that. Then they need to stop voting in the parties that are holding government in this country for the last 100 years, because then they might get some change.
All right, we shall see. Take care of yourself. Thank you very much, Councillor Jerry McMonagle, Chair of the Joint Policing Committee. Thanks to Brendan O'Connor, Michael McClafferty, Liam Blaney as well, and our listener, Michael.
Nutrice Intensive Lamb and Nutrice Lamb Crib Crunch lamb feeds are now on promotion at your local Homeland. Buy 10 bags, get 1 free, or get €15 off per tonne in bulk. Nutrice Intensive Lamb Feed contains intake booster for higher intakes, better thrive and faster finish. T's and C's apply. Contact your local Homeland or farm commercial specialist today. Visit nutrice.ie for full product details.
You want your dog to be healthy and happy, and they're never happier than when they're being fed. The new Gain Elite grain-free range has been expertly formulated by Gain Pet Nutrition using our years of animal nutrition research. The new Gain Elite grain-free range contains quality, natural and fresh ingredients, providing everything a thriving dog needs. And has a Velcro seal to keep your dog's food fresher for longer. Give your dog a healthy and happy life with the Gain Elite grain-free range. Available online and at your nearest stocist.
When it comes to your business, you want to move forward, upgrade, advance, expand. Make it possible with Opel's award-winning commercial vehicle range. The new Opel Combo, Vivaro and Movano in diesel or 100% electric. And now all available with flexible payment options and a 5-year warranty. The Opel commercial vehicle range. Carriers of possibilities. Find out more about our 242 offers at Heron Auto Opel. See heronopel.ie for details.
Summer is here, so it's time to make your outdoor space the ultimate oasis with garden furniture from Easy Living Furniture. And with free delivery on all items, now really is the time to let your garden shine. Visit Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park, Derry, Londonderry.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, Easy Living has it all. Easy Living Furniture, luxury furnishings, affordable luxury.
The Highland Radio Hoolie to Salou is getting closer. Join me, David James, and a host of Ireland's top artists for a week of fun in the sun. Staying for 7 nights in the stunning 4-star Sol Costa Jurado Hotel with non-stop entertainment morning, noon and night. But hurry, we only have a limited number of places available. Don't miss out on the holiday of a lifetime this September. To book, call Country Music Tours on 074 91 19 955. We'll see you in Salou.
Experience the Football Championship quarter-finals doubleheader this Sunday at Croke Park with Donegal v Louth at 1:15pm and Kerry v Derry at 3:15pm. The GAA Football All-Ireland Senior Championship. Experience the unforgettable. Sponsored by Allianz, AIB and SuperValue. Advanced ticket sales only at gaa.ie or selected Centre and SuperValue stores. GAA, where we all belong.
Summer savings at Irwin Expert Electrical. Get the LG 65-inch 4K Smart TV now only $599 and score a free Euros 2024 football with any LG TV bought. Sizzling savers from our Ninja barbecue range and air fryers like the wood fire grill only $299 plus a free stand and cover. Don't miss out on these amazing deals at Irwin's Expert Electrical, Letterkenny or Buncrana.
Are you building, rebuilding or renovating? What heat pumps or solar panels would suit your build? Come along and speak to the experts, Efficient Renewables on heat pumps and solar panels. Get advice on installation and grants available. Visit the Efficient Renewables showroom in Newton Cunningham and see these products in operation for yourself.
Are you tired of living with knee pain? At Kingsbridge Northwest, our team of experts can help you say goodbye to discomfort and hello to a brighter future. Where innovation meets excellence in orthopaedic care, our robotic-assisted knee replacement surgery means you can experience faster recovery times and improved outcomes. Why wait? Don't let knee pain hold you back any longer. Self-pay, insured or finance options are available. Visit kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com/northwest for further information today.
Hello, my name's Enda Walsh and I'm a dairy farmer from Ormore, County Galway. In Ireland, we're always looking for a better cow. A cow that's healthier, happier and longer lived. A cow that gives us more milk of a higher quality with specific health benefits. A cow that has a lower carbon footprint. We're finding that better cow through our world-leading breeding programs based on years of science and research. I'm speaking on behalf of the National Dairy Council, everyone's dairy.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenny's. Support local at McElhenny's. With 53 years experience in fashion, beauty and home, we're here for you. Plus, enjoy M-Card rewards when you shop in-store at McElhenny's Ballybuffet.
Okay, so something of a change to the weather. Cool, wet and rather windy on Thursday. That is today, of course. Unseasonably windy, in fact. Blustery outbreaks of rain will extend in across the region during the morning, persistent into the afternoon and evening. Cool for time of the year. For the time of the year, temperatures 13 to 15 degrees. Okay, we're going to take a break now. Sorry that we've sort of backloaded the breaks. It's just that conversation ran on, as it's such an important one, of course. We'll be back with much more, including your comments on the 9 Till Noon Show after the news and obituary notices.
Charge into summer with TUI. Choose from a beach cruise or city break or Mexico flying direct from Dublin. Holiday sorted. TUI, live happy.
If you know the beauty and skincare product that suits you best, you'll find them at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. From moisturisers, cleansers and toners to day creams and night creams, McGee's have the top brands you know and love, like Lancôme, Clarins and La Roche-Posay. Also Elizabeth Arden, Vichy, Nukes and many more. All at McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny, and online at mcgees.ie, where the best costs less.
Did you know that low mood, feeling anxious, trouble sleeping, and stress are all part of our mental health? Signs that can be harder to recognise in yourself. For personalised advice that can help, use the My Mental Health Plan tool at yourmentalhealth.ie from the HSE.
Donegal County Council, in association with Bryson Recycling, are holding a half-price bulky goods event at Carndonagh, Milford and Letterkenny Recycling Centres from the 24th of June until the 6th of July during site opening times. For more information and opening times, visit donegalcoco.ie or call the council on 074 9153 900.
Hey babe, I'm not feeling great tonight. Do you mind if we cancel?
Connor, the match is starting!
Shh, stop!
You can't rely on everything, but you can rely on Vodafone Gigabit Fibre Broadband with smart Wi-Fi. Now only €30 a month for the first 6 months. Search Vodafone Broadband today.
12-month contract, €30 for 6 months, €40 thereafter. Is subject to annual price adjustment, excluding discounts of CPI plus 3% each April. Offer ends August 31st, 2024. Subject to eligibility and location. See vodafone.ie/broadband.
Clarins Gift of Beauty promotion is now on at McElhenney's. Purchase 2 or more Clarins products, 1 to be moisturiser or serum, and receive a choice of 3 deluxe beauty treats. Plus, receive 2 additional makeup must-haves with a 3rd purchase. 1 gift per customer while stocks last. Exclusively in-store and online at McElhenney's Ballybuffet.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's Donna Marie Doherty with the news at 10 o'clock. The Donegal Garda Division is seeing major changes from the autumn. Services will soon be managed from Letterkenny and Ballyshannon, effectively creating a Donegal North Division encompassing the Inishowen Peninsula, Letterkenny and Milford districts. The rest of the county will be the Donegal South Division. With the handing over of Milford District headquarters to Letterkenny, fears have been propelled that the station will no longer operate on a 24-hour basis. Former president of the Garda Representative Association, Garda Brenda O'Connor, says few resources are being spread too thinly.
When this model was first rolled out and we were told that we were going to be joined with Sligo, which thankfully Common Centre did, that wouldn't work, the model that was unveiled in that time was 3 functional areas for Donegal. And now the kind of logic, or it hasn't been said officially, but is, look, you're getting to stay on your own as a division and keep a chief superintendent. Make do with 2. This is the compromise. Make do with 2 functional areas. But the geography of Donegal hasn't changed because we're no longer going into 2 divisions. So certainly, we just think it's fewer resources spread more thinly. And there's guidelines for how many, particularly inspectors, are required to make this model work. We don't have them in Donegal.
A teenage boy has passed away after a quad bike crash in County Derry on Tuesday morning. 14-year-old Isaac Roxburgh from Burnfoot, Dungiven, died from his injuries in hospital yesterday. PSNI are again appealing for information in relation to the single vehicle collision that happened shortly before 11:30 on the Ballygudden Road. It's in a meticulous investigation to establish the circumstances of the incident. Police ask anyone who noticed the red Honda quad in the area to call 101. EasyJet will now operate out of City of Derry Airport. The airline will carry out Edinburgh and Liverpool routes from November. A Buncrana councillor has welcomed the news, noting the importance of it for connectivity for the people of Donegal, and particularly from Inishowen. Councillor Jack Murray says in the absence of a rail and motorway connection to Dublin, it's a possible means of bringing tourists to the northwest region. The home of a Garda from County Meath was attacked while he was deployed to the Donegal International Rally under Operation Nexus. The Irish Independent reports that car enthusiast Garda Christopher Lynch was one of the key personnel assigned to the project to engage with young drivers. While he was away, a window in his home was smashed with a stone, causing damage to the interior and exterior of the property. It's understood his young family was home at the time. Local Gardaí are now investigating. The Health Minister says legislation may need to be considered to stop protests around politicians' homes. It comes as Gardaí are investigating a hoax bomb threat at the Taoiseach's house while his wife and children were there. A phone call using a code word claimed a device had been planted at Simon Harris's house in Wicklow. Minister Stephen Donnelly says anger towards politicians is becoming more sinister.
Yeah, my home's been targeted several times, unfortunately. If you'd asked me that question 6 months ago, I would have said no, because we do live in a liberal democracy. People must have the right to protest. And any time you infringe on that, you have to be very, very careful. But what we've seen more recently is not just protests outside people's homes, but is people turning up with balaclavas.
Discussions are underway between Aer Lingus and the Irish Airlines Pilots Association in an effort to find a breakthrough in the current pay row. Pilots with IALPA are into the second day of a work to rule as the union seeks a nearly 24% pay rise. Aer Lingus has suspended some travel perks for pilots until further notice, saying it needs to mitigate against further disruption for passengers. Speaking on his way into the meeting, IALPA President Mark Tighe hit back at the airline.
It's just a further attack on pilots. They've actually stated that they're doing this in order to provide more seats for our passengers. This is not the case. The privileges they speak of are only at the last minute on the day when you arrive if there's a seat available. We don't take any passenger seats.
Two Donegal organisations are to benefit from the RTE Toy Show Appeal 2024. The Donegal Rape Crisis Centre will receive €16,000 for therapies for 12 to 18-year-olds affected by the trauma of sexual violence. Meanwhile, Liquid Therapy CLG will get €18,000, and that's to increase the capacity of the summer programmes and services. Cool, wet and rather windy today. Blustery outbreaks of rain will extend across the province this morning, persisting into the afternoon and evening. That's with highs of 13 to 15 degrees. That's all for now from Highland Radio News. Back with more at 11. The obituary notices this Thursday morning, June 27th. The death has occurred of William McLaughlin, Clamperland, Ardban Ballymaggan, Buncrana. William's remains will repose at his home from 6 o'clock today. Funeral from there on Saturday, leaving at 10:10, going to St Mary's Church, Cockhill for 11 a.m. Requiem Mass. Burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The funeral can be viewed on churchservices.tv. The death has occurred of Colin McGee, 28, Burwood, Buncrana, and formerly of Slavery, Buncrana and Kent, England. Colin's remains are reposing at his home. Removal from there tomorrow morning at 10:15, going to St Mary's Church, Cockhill for Requiem Mass at 11 a.m, followed by interment in the adjoining graveyard. The Requiem Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Murphy Funeral Directors. The death has taken place of Eileen Gallagher, née Kennedy, Drumleen Lifford, and formerly of 5 Albert Terrace, Main Street, Lifford, reposing at her home today from 12 noon. Funeral leaving her home tomorrow afternoon at 1:20 p.m. for Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Murlog, Lifford at 2 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family time please from 10 p.m. tonight and on the day of the funeral. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has taken place of Sadie Gillen, née Doherty, Breda Glen, Moville. Sadie's remains are reposing at her home. Funeral from there at 10:30 tomorrow morning for 11 o'clock funeral mass in St Columba's Church, Balnacray, Moville, followed by interment in the adjoining graveyard. Rosary at 9 p.m. with family time from 10 o'clock tonight and before the funeral tomorrow. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Alzheimer's Society of Ireland, care of any family member or Eamon McLaughlin Funeral Director. The death has taken place of Cyril Coyle, Drum Naho, Letterkenny. Funeral from Archview Lodge Nursing Home at 10:15 this morning, going to St Eunan's Cathedral, Letterkenny, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, which can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. Interment afterwards in Conwall Cemetery. The death has occurred of Joyce McCaughey, ní Leaper, Ballymore, Portnablad, Donegal. Joyce will be waked at the family home in Ballymore today from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. House strictly private before and after. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or James Harkin Funeral Director. Cremation to take place tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock at Antrim and Newton Abbey Crematorium. The death has occurred of Sandra Sheridan, 66 St Joseph Terrace, Chapel Road, Rathmullen. Requiem Mass at St Joseph's Church, Rathmullen at 11 a.m. this morning, followed by interment in the adjacent cemetery. Mass can be viewed live on mcnmedia.tv. The death has taken place of Charlie McGillen, 58 Bridge Street, Strabane. Remains are reposing at his home. Funeral leaving his home tomorrow morning at 9:20 for Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Melmount at 10 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family time please from 10 o'clock tonight. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
They say a watched pot never boils. What you don't hear them say very often is that when you watch your energy use, it could save you an average of 27% on your electricity bills. I guess it's just a little less catchy. But at Energia, our average customer can save 27% on their bills when they sign up to a smart plan and monitor their usage. When you switch, you'll get insights on all your energy use, heating, lighting, and those pots that won't boil. Use your smarts and come direct to Energia for our best rates and energy insights. See energia.ie. Energia Smart Data Plan. EAB €1,197. Standing charge, PSO levy apply. Savings based on our standard electricity unit rates. Full details including associated terms and conditions at energia.ie.
The county's #1 talk show. The 9 Til Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And good morning to you again, or a good morning to you for the first time if you're just after joining us. It's 10:10 on the 27th of June. And an interesting first hour as details emerge of the future policing model for County Donegal. If you missed it, listen back to the podcast. Some of your comments, Greg. Country is doomed when we have government not being held to account to the people they're supposed to represent. Another, Jerry was chair of the Northwest Health Forum. He never sorted out these issues when he had the chance, now bringing it up again. Well, the Northwest Health Forum is health, obviously. The JPC, the Joint Policing Committee, is what he's chair of at the moment, and they have meetings with the Garda all of the time, and all of the members of it from all different parties, and none. They can only try and influence it. They can't actually change it. All day yesterday, a Garda car was parked outside the station in our area, but no guards in the station, and I believe that this happens most days and nights. Also, the car was causing an obstruction, parked mostly on the footpath and sticking out 2 foot onto the road. It's always someone in Dublin, says a listener, drawing lines through a map where Donegal is concerned, whether it's the number of guards, the health service, consultants, post offices, transport, or any issue. How are Garda supposed to get from Ballyshannon to Glenties or Milford in time to deal with a crime or emergency? It's ridiculous and deliberate to demoralise the local population. And often, how do you fix the Northwest? You put something in Sligo. How do you fix Donegal? You put something in Letterkenny. That seems to be the Dublin think. And then they can't understand, because they don't understand the geography, they can't understand why we might be peed off by that. Another caller says, is there any consideration taken of the fact that we are on the border with a big city with a massive population? This proposed policing model is going to be a disaster for the public and for the safety of the Gardaí on patrol. Backup will be non-existent. Gardaí cannot be expected to get engaged in a situation where their personal safety would be compromised. Another, where is our Donegal minister in all of this? We only have one in the county. What's he doing about it? He should be taking this information on board and bringing it up to the Dáil. Everyone should have the full support of our only Donegal minister. This would not be accepted in Dublin. This is coming from a concerned Donegal voter. Another, this model of policing will not work. The Garda is spread out so sparsely. If anyone is attacked in their own area, there are no guards available to help them. We need more Garda in our rural areas. Another, this change will do nothing but help the lawbreakers. They know that there is no Garda presence and will do what they want. Of course, they'll exploit it. Gardaí don't protect the general public. They are there to enforce the policies of the government. They were there to stop protests when the Irish people weren't happy. Police protests, stop protests. I suppose you could debate that. Opening Garda stations is the best thing to do. Pooling resources and skimming the top is not good enough, believes the listener. Another, one public representative says they found out from the media. The other says they've raised objections through the JPC. Which is it? Well, both are not mutually exclusive. I think it's the full details and the timeline of it that kind of have been leaked into the press. In relation to the new policing model, ask any guard on the ground and they will tell you that it is a circus incoming. Donegal is forgotten about once again. Another listener says the Garda on the ground in general have stopped communicating with rural Ireland. No stopping and talking to local people in general, they believe. Let me see. I just want to do a group sort of in the same topic before we take the bingo numbers. Greg, why does the government want all this asylum against the wish of the Irish people? I mean, like, the argument is that it spreads the load, that we process quicker. And, I mean, there's a lot of conversation about how many migrants, how many people have sought asylum here and what have you as well. Would you be surprised to learn that between 2020 and 2024, that Ireland took in less than 2%. It was actually 1.1% of all 1.1% of all asylum applications between 20 and 24. You would be forgiven for thinking that we were taking them all, but it is only 1.1%. I presume that we'll end up taking more because part of this pact is to spread out the load. You know, there are European countries next to hotspots for immigration. And they're taking more than other areas. So I presume it has to be a case that we take more, no? Well, a caller believes the implications of the EU Migration Pact will go down in history of the state as the greatest ever betrayal of the Irish people. The aim of the pact is to make the Irish a minority in their own country in a few decades, believes that listener. Another, the alleged bomb hoax threat towards the house of the Taoiseach has to be seriously treated as being a state hoax, since it included a code word that these days would really only be known to the Gardaí themselves. Now, I'm not really quite sure how the code word situation works in modern Ireland, to be honest with you. But this caller, Raymond, actually says the Gardaí are simply playing people to be fools. As I said earlier on, I referenced it. I was anticipating people believing it to be a hoax. A false flag, so to speak, and that's why I referenced what was going around on social media last night. The government indicate that uni fees for Ukrainians will be waived if you're living in Ireland and working from Ukraine. You don't have to pay tax. Why would anyone want to be Irish in this country? We have a government that doffs their caps to Europe. I thought we stopped doing that when we got rid of the English. And it's quite an interesting situation too, that Ireland is backing Ursula von der Leyen to be retained into her position. And you might remember she came out very robustly for Israel, speaking on behalf of you members of Europe, let's put it like that. She came out very sympathetic to Israel and effectively giving Europe's full backing to Israel. Now, since then, an outlier to some extent in that we took a far harder line on Israel's role in what's happening in Gaza. So you would think that the relationship between Ursula, what she was doing, certainly at the beginning and to a lesser extent now, and Ireland's position on the issue like the war in the Middle East might mean that, you know, well, we might abstain or maybe not vote for her to retain her position. But no, we are. When I say we, it's the royal we, you know. The government, and Leo Varadkar said yesterday, all Irish MEPs should vote for her to be retained in her position because that will help us get Michael McGrath a better job. Like that's the sort of the system. So Michael McGrath will maybe get a better position in finance in Europe if we, even though we have a stance on the Middle East that's very different, it would seem, to Ursula, that we actually vote for her. I think, how is that really sending any messages or representing the people? And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I am saying this is why less than 50% of people go and vote in elections. That's part of the reason anyway, at the very, very least. I don't know if you've got any views on that. If you think my assessment is unfair, please let me know. More than happy to be educated. 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 07491 25,000. What I do know for a fact is that they believe that if those that represent Ireland vote in favour of Ursula, that will mean Michael McGrath has a better chance at a better job, and that's better for Ireland. This is what we're being told. But as I say, I do believe that maybe there's an option for the position for Ireland to strengthen its resolve or to strengthen its position as it relates to the Middle East, and maybe question her approach, at least in the very early days and weeks of the horrendous situation that has unfolded in Gaza.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday, the 27th of June, Jackpot Day. You're playing for the jackpot prize of €12,200 on the pink sheet. The reference number is S9. It's game number 26. The jackpot number is 27. This number can come out in any position from the next 10 numbers drawn. And now, here are your daily numbers: 66, 79, 22, 25, 61, 8, 83, 4, 57, and finally 17. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
On Business Matters this week, I'll be speaking with John Logue, Chief Executive Officer of Social Enterprise Republic of Ireland, and also Tony Forrester about this year's Letterkenny Chamber Business Awards. So join me, Chris Ashmore, for Business Matters after the 6 o'clock news on Sunday.
Business Matters on Highland Radio is brought to you by Local Enterprise Office Donegal. If you have an idea to start or grow your business within Donegal, contact the Local Enterprise Office team to find out more about the supports available for businesses. See localenterprise.ie/Donegal.
Transform your home with Hegarty's Home Interiors in Buncrana. Discover a wide selection of stylish furniture and decor to create your perfect space. Our expert team offers personalised advice to match your style and budget. Visit us on Main Street, Buncrana. Open Monday to Saturday 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. Or visit hegartyshomeinteriors.ie. Hegarty's Home Interiors, making homes beautiful since 1946.
Now in studio with me is Councillor Dennis McGee of the 100% Redress Party. Good morning to you, Dennis. How are you getting on?
Morning, way, Reg. I'm getting on brilliant, yeah.
It's
Thanks.
good to have you with us. Congratulations again on your election, and it's straight into business. We invited you in, and we're going to talk extensively about an information evening that's taken place in the west of the county. I think it's one of the first of its kind, certainly in that part of the world. But before that, you were in Galway yesterday for a scan, and I think it's kind of interesting in that it sort of highlights really our access to health service. I'm not going to dig deep. It's up to you to tell us as much as you want. But like, why did you have to? It's crazy that we have to go away for sort of basic medical care, isn't it?
It is absolutely madness, Greg. Like, you know, the fact that I had to leave yesterday about 4 o'clock for an appointment down there at 9. I know I was probably a wee bit early, but I still ended up being late for the actual appointment. So I ended up having to ring them about 9:05 saying I was caught in traffic, just trying to get into Galway. And when I got in then, like, when I met it was actually the surgeon that I met, like, you know, and because of the vascular, it's all to do with circulation and stuff in the body, like, you know, and we just got talking, and he says, so where did you come from? You know, why are you here and all this kind of stuff? And I told him, like, you know, I came from North Donegal. And he was baffled, like, you know, he was saying, like, you know, it is madness, he said, like, you know, that you have to travel 5 hours from the west of Donegal to come down here to Galway to get a simple, what I'm going to do right now, he says, is just a simple, like, simple little scan just to see what the veins are like and the circulation in your body. And he
is
says,
it full body or is it just in the heart area? Just
no, it's full
Okay,
body, yeah. Like, you know, say from the head to the toes, like, you know, see if the blood is going from A to B and the heart is working and all that kind of stuff. I still have a heart, he said, anyway, so, like, you know, that's not too bad. But anyway, he said that there used to be a service, like, you know, where the consultant would come to a community setting like a hospital or something in Dunlow or wherever. And he says now the HSE have taken that there away because they stopped hiring all these specialists. Like, he was saying to me that there's 4 surgeons down there. These are the guys that actually do the procedures. And then there's the 4 people that do the actual scans, like, you know, put the whatever on your body, like, you know, to find out what's wrong. And he said, like, they have to look after all of Galway, all of the Aran Islands, all of Mayo, Sligo, Leitrim, Roscommon, Donegal, and there's 4 of them. And he says, not alone that, he says, like, you know, but he took me back to, he says, just for an example, last Tuesday, he says, we were sitting upstairs, the four surgeons, and they were meant to be doing procedures that day. But one of the leads in the hospital came in and they said, you can't do anything today because the team that you have around you, like the experts, the guys that put you to sleep, and the nurses that help out with the surgery, we're going to have to take your team away because there's another surgeon over in the other part of the hospital that has no team today.
Wow.
So we're going to have to take these experts away from you and move them over to the other side. And we're going to give you 2 random people that's come off some agency. And the surgeon said to me, like, there's no way I can work with that. He says, like, you know.
Do you know too, Dennis, in that, I mean, obviously you're a young guy, generally healthy. You know, you want to make sure that you're in as best a health possible, and you'll take on that 5-hour journey. Hopefully you drove down. I don't know. Well, not hopefully.
Yeah,
but you drove down, right? What worries me about this setup is someone who's a little bit older or nervous or on their own that are referred by a doctor or the hospital, and they go, I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
You know,
a lot of people will put it off.
Those are the ones that kind of really, because we're always looking for excuses not to do stuff, aren't we? And you know, you've gone down there and got checked out, but it's just those that fit, or those that simply don't have the money to get down there.
Exactly.
How would you get to Letterkenny to get the bus? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. How you go about it, like, you know. And then, as he said, like, you know, people that kind of say, no, I'm not that bad, I won't go. Yeah. Especially if you're an elderly person.
Big excuse,
and then the problem then gets worse.
Yeah.
You know, and he says that he has a waiting list of something like 70 or 80 people, like, you know, probably more. I probably got them numbers wrong.
Yeah.
But he says, like, you know, if you know, the initial stages, that's fine, like, you know, and then they'll put them off, but then that initial thing will become a serious issue, and then it'll be put off, and then it's an urgent case, so they miss that, and then it's too late, so the circulation stops, and somebody loses a limb, or even worse, which has happened. He says, we are watching people losing limbs because of the services that's there, like, you know.
I just don't know why we are not worthy of some sort of a satellite service at the very least, even if it's in Sligo, right? We'd love it to be further north, but just a 5-hour scan. You left at what, 4?
Yeah.
And then obviously you started hitting the traffic then. So you either were able to get there at 7 or off 9.
Yeah, you'd be probably better off getting an appointment there at 7 o'clock rather than 9, because
you're never going to hit 9.
You know, because you're going into traffic right away in every small town, like, you know. And this is without the schools being open, like, you know. For yesterday, like, you know, was heavy traffic for some reason. I don't know why, like. But I suppose what I'm trying to highlight, you know, it's okay highlighting these things, but we have to try and come up with some solutions as well, like.
Yeah.
So what I want to put a face on the HSE, because all we can see is 3 big letters, the HSE. I want to put a human face on them, on this organisation, and sit down to them and say, here, this is what I want to do. Why can we not have this here in a community hospital, a local setting where old people, even disabled people, whatever, like, you know, to have them go in and get their initial consultation in, like, somewhere near hand that you don't have to travel 5 hours to go to, like.
Yeah, okay. Now there's a meeting taking place, and hopefully everything turns out all right for you. I'm sure it will. There's a meeting taking place in Dunlow on the 2nd of July, and it's in relation to defective concrete blocks. And, you know, one thing that has emerged, and those in the know, but unfortunately maybe for others the penny's only dropping now, I think, you know, not that long ago, people thought that only houses in inner Showham were affected by concrete. And then it's sort of, there's a few houses in Letterkenny, and then, you know, there's a few have popped up in Milford. Do you know what I mean? And then, you know, in South Donegal, for instance, where I live, you would speak to people down there, and they wouldn't really know an awful lot about it, because it's a million miles away in the north of the county. But now what we know is it's all over the county. It's not all over the county. It's in 16 other counties, or 16 counties so far across the country. Yeah. So in the west of the county now, there's one of the first public meetings, I think, taking place in Dunlow. Talk to me about this meeting, what you believe the purpose of the meeting is, Dennis.
Yeah, well, there's two things I want to find out from this meeting. The first thing is I want to get a sense of the level of defective blocks that are out there, people that are affected. Like, I'm looking at this here to where I was a couple of years ago. You know, the first stage, like, you know, where you go into denial. I don't want to know about this here. You know, I want to know how many people are affected. Just give them an idea of what you have to do, not what you have to do, like, you know, but I wish I had something like this here, like a few years ago, like, you know, where somebody can come in and say, here, we've been through it. This is what we had to go through. Now we've been through it, like, you know, and I'm not saying for 1 second that this scheme is good or nothing else like it. Like, the scheme is not worth the paper it's written on. Because let's remember, I don't even qualify for the scheme. So...
And Dennis doesn't qualify for the scheme because his house isn't completed, even though he's invested a ton of money in it. It's for his ever home. The reason he can't get on the scheme is because the house is not finished. And you're in the situation, to get the scheme, you probably have to pump in another, 100, 150 grand?
Yes. And then
into a
say,
defective house.
Yeah.
Then say, oh, by the way, you know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah. So, but anyway, getting back to the meeting, I want to just get people to come to the meeting. Just, there's no pressure on them, you know, just if they suspect it, whatever, like, people are thinking, you know, just to get a test, it's going to cost me 3,000 or 4,000, like, you know. I think that has changed now, like, you know. The Redress Focus Group, they've done tremendous work on this here. They've left no stone unturned as far as finding out exactly what the people are entitled to, like, you know.
Do you think, and I'm not being harsh, and I'm affected by this myself, so I think I can speak a bit freely. Do you think that people maybe need to take their head out of the sand? If you've got the cracks coming down from the corner of the windows, if you've got that vertical crack going up your cornerstones, if the windows or the doors, there's gaps there that weren't there before, little telltale signs that up until now you've patched or you think is settling or it'll calm down, that maybe it's time to sort of say, right,
yeah, let's just go to...
I might really need to get this checked.
Yeah.
It's not bad plaster.
Exactly.
Let's just plaster and all the other excuses we've used in our heads.
Just for your own peace of mind, just come and listen to these people that have gone through exactly what we are going through right now, like, you know. And I'm no expert at this here, like, you know, but there will be people there that has experience and they can talk about, well, this is where I was at. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have defective blocks, but just you'll get a better understanding of what's happening, like, you know, and what do you have to do. If, like, for me, I was, like, in a situation where, Jeannie Mac, like, you know, I don't want to face this, like, you know. I put my head in the sand completely for maybe 2 years, like, you know, didn't tell anybody, like, you know. I was at the stage then at the end of where I said to myself, right, what do I do here? Do I go down to the pier and put a block around my neck and just finish it and not deal with it? Like, that's how serious this is. Like, it's a mental health thing as well as everything else. It's not fair on these families that are out there, like, you know. And I want to be the voice for them now because I was elected on that there, you know, along with, I'll try and help people with every issue. But primarily, this is what I want to do. I want to have me there along with other people so that they can ask questions, like, you know, in a nice, friendly atmosphere, like, you know, where there's no pressure on nobody. Just come and talk, and we'll get through this here together. Like,
and I get where you're coming from in terms of your assessment of the scheme, but the reality is there are people who are going and have gone through the scheme, or at least going through the scheme to get the testing done. You know, I mean, there is a €700 or €800 outlay in terms of the visual inspection, but then if you're accepted onto the scheme, then you can get you can get the board tests and all that type of stuff, at least to start down that journey, so
just
you
for
know where you're at.
Sometimes you just to know yourself, either why I have it or I don't have it, like, you know, and that can clear up a lot in your own head as well, like, you know, and then you can start the process of coming to terms with it, like, you know, you can start to deal with it. If you want to take your time, that's fine, like, you know. I'm not saying that everybody should come right away and say, oh, I have a crack underneath. It doesn't necessarily mean that...
I think really, you know, and I'm not speaking on your behalf, Dennis, I think this is just an opportunity for people in an area that really until recently wasn't being talked in this context, that maybe are fighting these battles on their own, even emotionally, to get into the same room with other people and sort of, you know, even just share how you're feeling or what you feel or what you think might happen, or get some advice on what to do next.
Yeah,
do you know, even for that purpose alone, I think this is incredibly valuable. Yeah,
because the reality is, like, you know, the perception always was, like, and even for me, like, I was like looking afar, that's down and in the show, you know, I've seen this guy on the TV, that the Paddy Diver, and that's going back a long time, like, you know. So we probably... We and the infancy of it now, right? So there's a long road, a long battle ahead of us, like, you know. But we're going to have to face it, and we're going to have to face it together. And everybody just be honest with each other, and we're not going to be pointing fingers and saying, you know, come and, oh, you have a crack, you have it, like, because this is a major issue, like, you know. To deal with it mentally is massive. Like. Yeah. That's the big thing. Like.
And many people, you know, not many people, some people might be thinking they're dealing with it and they don't have it, so you have to get it checked out. Where's the meeting and when?
The meeting is on Tuesday, the 2nd of July, in the community centre.
That's Tuesday coming.
Tuesday coming.
Yeah, okay.
In Dunlow, in the community centre, that community centre on the Chapel Road there at the top of Dunlow, right? So it's important that everybody just comes out and we get a feel of what's there, like, so that we can take it forward together, and I can be the go-to person or whatever, and get all the links and phone numbers and what have you, like, help, because this is going to be a battle that we're going to have to fight together, like, you know.
Right. It doesn't matter if you're in Creasler, if you're in Ardra, or anywhere in between.
From the log cabin, it doesn't even matter if you're in South Donegal, where we have no representation, like, as a party. Come from South Donegal if you feel that you might have it there, because like, everybody has to be in this here together, and we have to fight together. Like, I want to get I know the Tisha was on your show a couple of weeks ago, like, you know, in relation to the childcare facilities and stuff, like. So I'd love him to come down here and sit in front of me and tell me, you know, why we're in this situation, who was asleep at the wheel at the time. You know, the housing minister, and tell me why that I don't qualify for the scheme. You know, I want him to explain to me why I'm left behind.
Okay. Well, listen, it is in CDP Narossan, Chapel Road, Dunlow, on Tuesday, the next Tuesday coming. I always struggle when it crosses a month, but it's this next Tuesday coming. It's in the evening at 7 p.m, and it's an open, friendly, warm space for people to get some information, to have a conversation, I think, to connect. And hopefully, you know, join with others if it's their journey they sadly have to undertake. You know, there's strength in numbers. And,
yeah, let this be the start of it, like, you know. Let this be the start of it, so we have an idea of the amount of people that's affected, like, you know.
Yeah, okay. Brilliant stuff. Councillor Dennis McGee, best luck with the other stuff down in Galway, and good luck with that meeting on Tuesday night, and thanks so much for calling in.
Thank you very much, Greg.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
Farmer fury over acres payment delays. For more in your Irish Farmers Journal is Paul Mooney.
Irate farmers vent frustration at the continuing acres payment debacle. New beef welfare schemes set to be delayed.
Farmers who flout fertiliser register rules to face serious penalties. With the latest job cuts in the dairy industry, what lies ahead for the sector? Cash for carbon farming? What could it mean for your farm? Plus, find out why contractors are embracing self-driving tractors.
All inside the Irish Farmers Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
Summer is here, so it's time to make your outdoor space the ultimate oasis with garden furniture from Easy Living Furniture. And with free delivery on all items, now really is the time to let your garden shine. Visit Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park, Derry, Londonderry.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, Easy Living has it all. Easy Living Furniture. Luxury furnishings, affordable luxury.
New this week in Home Store and More. All summer duvets are all half price. That's right, half price. But better hurry, because when all these half-price summer duvets are gone, they're gone. Also, all camping and all indoor clothes areas are still all half price. But when all the half-price camping and all the half-price indoor clothes areas are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More. Visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. Home Store and More. A happy home.
All right, everybody gather round. Alex, welcome to the office. Now, why don't you tell everyone a fun fact about yourself? Maybe 2 or 3. You know what? Keep them coming. I'll tell you when to stop.
Changing jobs can be scary. Changing health insurance doesn't have to be. If you're worried about waiting periods or loss of coverage, we're here to help. Get the information you need on hia.ie. There's only one authority on health insurance, and it's us, the Health Insurance Authority.
There's 25% off all clothing at F&F until Sunday, 30th of June with your Tesco Club card or app. That's 25% off tonal linen cohorts for a look good, feel good summer. F&F makes fashion sense. Subject to availability. Available in the majority of larger stores.
Join us for a 10-hour Yinga Yoga retreat in Ards Friary, Creasla from 5th to the 7th of July. Enjoy yoga, meditation, country walks, sea swimming and delicious food. Limited spaces, book now, email anniesyoga@yahoo.ie. That's ANNIES yoga@yahoo.ie.
They say time equals money, so spend your money where you spend your time. No matter what your preference is, Cooney's Home Interiors has something to suit every taste and budget. With our extensive range of home furnishing to fit every room and style, from mattresses and beds to rugs, mirrors and suites of furniture. Visit us in store today and see for yourself what Cooney's have to offer and let us help you make your dream home a reality. Cooney's Home Interiors, Letterkenny Retail Park. Huge range, great prices.
Charge into summer with TUI. Secure your holiday today with savings for families and adults flying from Dublin, Cork and Shannon. Holiday sorted. TUI. Live happy.
Every day's an exciting adventure with the National Trust. Spend summer exploring magnificent mansions, glorious gardens, tree-lined trails and riverside rambles. Hop into the wildlife heptathlon at Mount Stewart or walk the plank by the River Blackwater at the Argery. Pick up pond dipping kits at Florence Court. Take aim at archery at Castle Ward or try lazy lawn games at Rowan Garden. With lots of
"Can we come again?"
on the way home. Search National Trust NI to find out more. National Trust, for everyone, forever.
If you aren't quite ready to drive a full EV, you'll be going in the right direction with the Mazda CX-5. This SUV comes with fuel-saving Mazda M hybrid technology and a 6-year warranty you'll find across the entire Mazda range. Test drive the 242 Mazda range at McGinley Motors Mazda Letterkenny. Mazda, crafted in Japan.
A mixture of sunny spells, scattered showers, temperatures between 5 and 25 degrees, mild to gale force wind. Hail? It's anyone's guess. Whatever the weather, Centra has you covered. Fountain Sprite 2 litre any 2 for $3.50 plus deposit. Select Tato Occasions or O'Donnell Sharing Crisps €2 each. And Fleury Andre Gua Sha Wine €10. Centra. Live every day. Enjoy alcohol sensibly.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhenny's. Support a local Donegal business with McElhenny's. From fashion to home essentials, find everything you need for any occasion. Shop McElhenny's Ballybuffet for quality you can trust.
So it's a cool, wet and rather windy day. Blustery outbreaks of rain extending in across the region during the morning, persisting into our afternoon and evening. Cool, temperatures 13 to 15 degrees. Unseasonably windy too, with fresh to strong and gusty westerly winds. Now, as part of Your Voice, Your Community, in association with Commission na Man, funded by the TV licence fee, we speak to 3 guests now. Angie Gallagher. Good morning, Angie. Thank you very much for joining us. June Doherty is with us as well. June, how are you?
Good morning, I'm good.
And Karina Duffy, all of the Autism Family Support Group in Letterkenny. Good morning to you, Karina.
Good morning.
Right, okay. Now, in April of this year, the Autism Family Support House opened at 32 The Elms in Letterkenny.
31 The Elms. Just in case you're sending someone to the wrong house.
Sending someone to the neighbour, okay, my mistake. 31 The Elms. The significance of this house, I'll ask you, June, do you want to take that one?
We moved up to the house. We had an old premises, but we had no outside space. It was small. So now we have this house. We now have a great big outside space that's all closed in, so the kids can get out to play. We now have our own kitchen where we're learning them how to do basic cooking, buns, pizza, that kind of thing. And then we have a sensory room upstairs. We're also able to offer reflexology now as well. And the house is great. We lock the front door. We can keep them safe. They're out the back, they're playing, we know where they're at.
And Angie, all of you are parents of children with autism, and it was you that drove this, really.
Well, I'm actually here as a parent because I found the group about 10 years ago when my son was diagnosed running. And it was basically because, as you know, with autism, there's three things: the communication and your social and routine and rituals. And what happens is a lot of kids aren't able to go into mainstream clubs and activities and that because of their sensory issues and stuff like that there. So with the house, it's kind of like a safe environment now. As we said, a lot of kids aren't able to reprocess different places. So now with the house, they have a Saturday club, so it means that we're going to the same place every week. The kid can go into the house, able to process it a lot quicker. They have different rooms. You have your sensory room, you have your playroom with toys, TV. We have outdoor garden and swings and stuff like that there. And it's also means that it's a safe place, as you said. The front door's locked. My son would be a runner, so we have that. But it's also a place where the siblings can also come. So it's not just for kids with autism. Their siblings are able to come. They're able to meet with other children that have brothers and sisters with additional needs that can understand their feelings that maybe some of their other friends can't. And as with a kid with additional needs, sometimes you're limited to where you can go and can't go and stuff like that. And even with me as a parent, I would always have to take someone else with me because sometimes it's a case of, when Ronan gets fed up, are we going home, Mammy? So now maybe I will go with Ronan, or my sister or someone will go with Ronan, when the other kids are still able to stay with the activities. And with the house now, like Harry and all is mad about it. He comes and he does the activities, the arts and crafts. Ronan doesn't really like arts and crafts, but he's able to go still. You're not pushing the child into these activities they don't want. There's other stuff there that they can still do. Do you know what I mean? So don't be put off by saying it's arts and crafts day, because there's other stuff in the house that the kids can do as well.
Yeah, brilliant for the kids. I imagine great for parents too, and particularly mums.
It's very good because, as I says, even from a social perspective, you're meeting parents, and now obviously with therapies and everything else on hold, parents are able to speak to other parents, see what kind of tips and stuff like that they have that help, that help their child. And we've got a wide spectrum of children, for very, very young and older. So if your child's maybe 10, you might, say Ronan is a 12-year-old. Now we have the activities split up into two different groups, the under 12s and over 12s. But Ronan, even though he's over 12, he wouldn't be able to participate in those activities. So he's still able to go in the under 12s. It's not solely by your age, it's by your abilities, really, and stuff like that there. But
Karina, it seems very adaptive.
It is, yeah. I've got two kids with autism. One is got no social skills, and the other would be highly functioning. So it's great because there's something for every child, for every ability.
And the thing about services like this, really, they wouldn't exist if it wasn't for parents saying, look, we need them. It seems to be up to those most affected by some of these things to actually provide the services.
Yeah, definitely. We actually learn more from the other parents in the group than we would from the actual services out there. If one parent hasn't gone through before, another one will. So there's always someone there to guide you through whatever you're going through with the child at the time, because it's different levels at different ages. And, it's once you think you've understood them, everything changes and they go through something else. So, yeah, definitely.
I'm not sure if all of you, how long all of you have been involved in this, but can you feel quite isolated as a parent of an autism in the absence of these type of services and sort of maybe getting together with other people?
Definitely. My daughter wasn't diagnosed till she was 20 and you fight for everything and at least now you've got someone that helps you through that fight, and you know, you get more support definitely from there. She's had no support from anyone other than the group.
Wow.
And even if you're having a bad day,
yes, June,
you can lift the phone to a parent and say, oh, this, and this happened to me today. You know, you've got a parent there that's going to listen to you and say, oh, you know, maybe we'll go out the weekend, we'll have a drink, but, you know, we'll get together, have a cup of tea. You have somebody there that'll listen to you.
Yeah, so these new facilities obviously allow the Autism Support Unit to continue its work, which it's been doing for an awful long time, but it's just a better environment, isn't it, in terms of the outdoor space and what have you. Obviously, safety is a priority, June.
Yeah, the group itself is getting bigger. We now have 123 registered families, and out of them families, most families now have more than one child with ASD. So we're trying our hardest to cover everybody.
Yeah, of course. And in terms of what's in it for the parents, obviously, you know, we all want our children to be as happy and progress as best as they can. Is there there's obviously a support element to it, June. Does it go beyond that amongst the parents? Any social activities? Am I calling June?
Yeah, yes.
That is June.
Yes.
Maybe she's about to lean over the table and strangle me.
I was just thinking, I don't know what to say.
No, I'm like, what I'm trying to say, I'm not trying to make out you go, but do the parents get together and do anything?
Yes.
They do. That's
yeah.
really what I was getting
We
at.
have parent nights out as well, every so many months, and we would do something like go to the cinema and have a meal, just time for us.
Yeah,
So,
which I think is really
But we
important.
also do coffee mornings.
Yeah.
We do a coffee morning 1 month and then a coffee evening the next month. So if you're at work through the day, you can go in the evening one.
Brilliant.
So they can
It's
just pop in,
have a chat, have
pop
a
in,
rant.
yeah.
Plus the reflexology for the parents
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit more about that.
The reflexology,
Yeah.
I'm saying, for the parents.
And the children.
And the children, that is Josephine Meehan, is the lady who's doing that. Solace. Anish and Glenties. She comes and does that there. So your child will get half an hour, is it? And then the parent.
An hour can get an
An
hour.
hour then for the parent. It just means that it's something for you, I suppose.
Bit of me time as well, yeah. Okay.
And
Now-
you leave feeling really good after it.
Yeah, okay. I've never done that actually.
And the group will do go shares in the price.
Yeah.
The group go halfers with the parent.
Right. Brilliant. So
And like she doesn't just do reflexology like on your feet or your hand. She does other services too, like Reiki and hot stones and
brilliant.
crystals. And
That's
everything.
Josephine Meehan Doherty, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic stuff.
She's brilliant.
So what's happening for the summer? June, do you want to take that one?
This summer we have an absolutely fantastic programme coming. Do you want me to list it out?
Go on.
For our under 12s, we have Alcorns, we have TJ Teddies, which is making a teddy bear each, trip to Redcastle, trip to Extreme Bounce, slime making workshop, and the pottery. For our over 12s, we've got the Transport Museum in Belfast, we've got Lock and Load, Prison Island in Belfast, which is the Crystal Maze, we've got the Planetarium, and we've got Extreme Bounce. For our family trips, we've got Wild Ireland, we've got Dublin Zoo, we've got Finn Harps match on the 2nd of August, which we're looking for mascots from our group. Then our big trip at the end is for Tato Park.
Or Emerald Park, is it?
Emerald Park, sorry, Emerald Park. But we also have Finn Harps have also given us 2 days next week, the 3rd and the 4th, where they've given us an hour in the middle of their football camp in Ballyar for our ASD children, which we are very grateful for. Thank you, Finn Harps.
So, you know, there are some parents who aren't involved are going, wow, this sounds amazing for me. Are you at capacity? Can parents still get signed up? Angie, do you want to take that one? Or?
Yeah, well, yeah, parents can get signed up. There's, do you want me to say?
Well, you say whatever you like. I want you just to...
email, yeah, well, you have to email your name and that. Will I say the email address?
Yeah.
It's just autismletterkenny@gmail.com. And the group then will send you out the form. It's a €20 fee for the year. And that's you joined up, and that's all your other kids as well joined up for the activities and all that there. But I mean, any parents can come. You'll find that some, as I said before, like some activities are going to suit certain people and some aren't, and the parents themselves will know.
But this has been designed to appeal to different people in different spaces.
But there is kids, say maybe like with Ronan, even under 12, some things like maybe sometimes Arena 7 and that might be too much for him. Do you know what I mean? So maybe we might come a bit later or stuff like that there, and maybe we might even only just come for the food or come, you know, just for one part of the play or for the bowling or something. Like, you can work it around you so that it's going to help. But as well, if Ronan's not able to go to activities, my other kids are still able to participate in the activities. And just as my son Jay is 14, so he's able to go to the over 12s if he wants to, even though like running is going to be doing the activities for the under 12, so it caters for all the other parts of all the other family members as well.
What's this? Sorry, go ahead. No,
you don't need to have a diagnosis.
That's what I was going to say.
If you're
to
waiting
you.
for a diagnosis, you can still join the group. You don't have to have the diagnosis.
And Karina, what is the significance that for those who may not be aware of siblings being involved as well?
A lot of people might think that if only the ASD child is involved, that they can't go, and they might have 2 or 3 other kids at home, some more. Me, like 4. I've got 5 altogether. And you know, you might not be able to get out or get somebody else to mind them, so you do need to take them all with you.
I think that's amazing too, and so inclusive as well. Yeah. And I would imagine it means a lot to all of the children involved that we're talking about, and all of the parents that all of your children are equal in their activities.
Separate events, like
it is a remarkable list of stuff though,
and there's a very broad range of ages.
Yeah. So therapies for ASD child only: reflexology, swimming, horse riding, autism. We have all autism parents running the group. How the I'm going to have to get you waiting for the printer. Running the group. We're always on the lookout for more volunteers. That's what I wanted to talk about. That I was trying to get down to, because, you know, I think there's an awful lot of work here, and the broader the load, or the broader the load is shared, the better. June, do you want to take that one? Yeah,
well, it's like on Saturday clubs. We, like, each parent who comes to Saturday club takes it their day. But sometimes something might happen in the house. Yeah. They can ring up and say, look, sorry, such and such has happened. We're able to call on our different volunteers then to say, can you cover this Saturday to do whatever activity we have planned? Could be baking, could be arts and crafts. They could be outside playing games just to cover. That's why we need our volunteers. Sometimes our parents are just too stretched. Yeah. Looking at the pictures of the house, it looks lovely and homely. Yes. And spacious, and then you can design certain rooms for certain things and all. It's a great addition to the whole services. Yeah. In terms of costs, you talked about a €20 membership. I presume for everything else, trying to keep the costs as low as possible. We actually at the moment don't have any funding from anybody. Yeah. We did a couple of years ago. The funding now is starting to run out. So we have enough now to keep us going till the end of the summer. That's it. Right, well, I think we need a separate conversation on that. Yeah. Considering what you're depriving yourselves, like, this is remarkable stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because it takes pressure off the public services, you'd imagine. It does, yeah. You know, when we do things like the that has to be a value. That has to be we need to start putting a value on that. We applied for the CDNT too for the grant. We didn't get that. We wanted to do therapies of our own, because there is no therapies at the minute for our children. We wanted to do homework club. We wanted to do OT. We wanted to do speech and language, which is one of the reasons we got the house. So we can provide these things privately, so your parent can come in. No one needs to know they're there. Mm-hmm. They can get whatever their child needs and go again. We can employ someone. But we didn't get the grant. All right. Well, listen, we'll make representations as well in relation to that going forward, because it does work. It can make a difference, and hopefully it might make a difference in this regard as well, because it's clear the work that you do needs to be supported, and there has to be a value placed on it by the state, I think. We seem to be getting more and more families. Yeah. Like every week. This week alone, we've had 4 requests to join the group. Yeah. Like now that we're on here today, I would say we'll probably get 20 or 30 now. So, because it's for all over the county, people are coming. It's the whole of the county, yeah. I think
people haven't heard about it because of COVID, and people would have been maybe going to therapies and all that. When I first started running, they would have said there is an autism family support group, and we would have had flyers up all over the place. But because people aren't going to those places anymore, they're not knowing about it as much. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not that's exactly it. So, like, this is as well, like, I mean, there's loads of other activities and all that there happening, you know what I mean? And
well, the list is too extensive really to read, and it's so varied as well.
Plus, it's very cheap.
And also, I like the fact that, you know, there's family outings and there's individual outings and the siblings outings, you know what I mean? You seem to have absolutely everything covered.
When I do the summer programme, I ring up people and I tell them, we are the autism group.
We're a charity.
When is your quiet time? Yeah. Now, most places like Arena 7 and the cinema and stuff give us a private hour. So, like, there is just our kids there. So there's no music on or anything. There's nobody else running around screaming. It is great.
Yeah, okay. Brilliant. Anything else that we need to mention?
Just the price of the summer outings.
Yes.
Like, every trip is only $5 a head.
That's amazing. Like, it's brilliant.
It's such value for money, except for the big one to Emerald Park at the end of the year. It's 10. But everything else,
even that. is very reasonable.
Doesn't get anywhere for 10 years.
Yeah, that's
the bus as well.
transport as well, like down and all, and we also get the fast passes for going around.
Brilliant.
So
it's amazing what you're doing. Stay in touch with us, will you? Because we can hopefully back you and give you support in trying to get some funding. I mean, the minister responsible in this area is you can work with her, you know. So we need to sort of start to reach out and see what she can do. So we'll
Any
do that.
Any businesses online that would like to sponsor anything for the summer programme, I'm always on the look.
I've no doubt about that.
That would be fantastic. So if somebody would like to come on and say they will sponsor our bus bill, that would be great, because if most people in Letterkenny don't have a car, they do have a car, they can't afford to fill it. So if we have something that's going on outside of Letterkenny, we provide a bus.
Well, let's put it like this. You've heard the fantastic work that the Autism Family Support Group does in Letterkenny. It doesn't get any funding. You know, when there was a round of funding announced, they would have been waiting for some positive news. They didn't get that. You can hear, and you've heard from the three ladies, how hard they work. This is all parents of children with autism that are involved in this. They've got an amazing program put together, and it's all for the children and the families. If any of you out there have any resources or your business and you want to sponsor, get in touch with us. Every bit helps, and we'll put you in touch with June. So maybe that could happen today. It would be remarkable and ease the pressure, because there seems to be a bit of an end of summer cliff edge here, which we're going to have to work in, I think, over the summer. Yeah. But for now, Angie Gallagher, thank you so much for calling in. I do appreciate it. Karina Duffy, thank you so much for calling in as well. And June, thank you.
Thank you.
All three of you. Have a wonderful day and the best luck with the summer. And we'll be back with the news shortly.
Coming this year to Dublin for the very first time, 71 shows completely sold out. Hamilton at the Bord Gáis Energy Theatre. Experience the revolutionary musical that's taken the world by storm. Witness history come alive with electrifying performances and unforgettable music with a modern twist. Book your place now on the outlet at highlandradio.com or call us on 074 91 25,000.
On Business Matters this week, I'll be speaking with John Logue, Chief Executive Officer of Social Enterprise Republic of Ireland, and also Tony Forrester about this year's Letterkenny Chamber Business Awards. So join me, Chris Ashmore, for Business Matters after the 6 o'clock news on Sunday.
Business Matters on Highland Radio is brought to you by Local Enterprise Office Donegal. If you have an idea to start or grow your business within Donegal, contact the Local Enterprise Office team to find out more about the supports available for businesses. See localenterprise.ie/Donegal.
Boost your brain function with Remind supplements. Visit Healthwise Pharmacies for the innovative Life Meter test. In just 1 minute, measure your carotenoid levels from a simple fingertip scan. Understanding your diet can help you take charge of your brain health. Remind's blend of carotenoids and omega-3 fatty acids supports normal brain function. Make an appointment today at Ballyrain and Dunlow Healthwise Pharmacies. Take the first step towards a healthier brain with Remind.
Don't miss the 32nd annual Finn Valley Show at Russell Brothers Farm, Killygordon, this Saturday 29th, featuring the usual dog, home industries, poultry, sheep, cattle, horse and pony classes, as well as the fast and furious donkey derby. There will be a show and shine tractor competition judged by Kirsty Ward from Grassmen, with live music from Anthony Redstone, trade stands and children's entertainment. It's sure to be a family fun day at the Finn Valley Show this Saturday 29th. This ad is sponsored by Clonley Co-op, serving the farming community since 1952.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 Til Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Okie doke. Heading into the last hour, we'll be discussing the adoption or the opting in of the EU Migration Pact and so much more besides after we get a news update now at 11:11, and it's over to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The Donegal Garda division is seeing major changes from the autumn. Services will soon be managed from Letterkenny and Ballyshannon, effectively creating a Donegal North Division and a Donegal South Division. With the handing over of Milford District Headquarters to Letterkenny, fears have been propelled that the station will no longer operate on a 24-hour basis. Negotiations between Aer Lingus and the Irish Airlines Pilot Association are continuing this morning. It's aimed at resolving the pay row, which has led to Aer Lingus pilots undertaking a work to rule. It's understood the discussions are at a very early stage and it could last a number of hours. A teenage boy has passed away after a quad bike crash in County Derry on Tuesday morning. 14-year-old Isaac Roxburgh from Burnfoot Dungiven died from his injuries in hospital yesterday. PSNI are again appealing for information in relation to the collision that happened shortly before 11:30 on the Ballygudden Road in a bid to establish the circumstances of the incident. EasyJet will now operate out of the City of Derry Airport. The airline will carry out Edinburgh and Liverpool routes from November. A Buncrana councillor has welcomed the news, noting the importance of it for connectivity for the people of Donegal, particularly in Inishowen. Councillor Jack Murray says in the absence of a rail and motorway connection to Dublin, it's a possible means of bringing tourists to the northwest. 2 Donegal organisations are to benefit from the RTE Toy Show Appeal 2024. The Donegal Rape Crisis Centre will receive €16,000 for therapies for 12 to 18-year-olds affected by trauma of sexual violence. Meanwhile, Liquid Therapy in Rosnala will get €18,000 to increase the capacity of summer programmes and services. And finally, the home of a Garda from County Meath was attacked while he was deployed to the Donegal International Rally under Operation Nexus. The Irish Independent reports that car enthusiast Garda Christopher Lynch was one of the key personnel assigned to the project to engage with young drivers. While he was away, a window in his home was smashed with a stone, causing damage to the interior and exterior of the property. That's all for now from Highland Radio News. Back with more at 12.
Thank you very much, Donna Marie.
Before you settle on a new hybrid, take the Nissan Qashqai e-Power Challenge. The Nissan Qashqai e-Power is a hybrid, so you don't have to plug in. But unlike other hybrids, it always drives in electric mode. You get the superior smooth and quiet driving experience of an electric car, all of the time. Take the Nissan Qashqai e-Power Challenge at your local Nissan dealer today. You'll never look back. Nissan, innovation that excites.
You're very welcome back to the Nine Til Noon Show, heading into the last hour now. As you would know, the Dáil narrowly voted in favour of adopting new EU border and immigration policies. Opposition parties had taken issue with some aspects of the pact, but agreed with other measures, such as the sharing of data among EU states. Those voting against it include Peadar Tóibín, Deputy Peadar Tóibín, leader of Aintu. Good morning to you. Thank you very much indeed.
Good morning. Thanks for the opportunity to chat.
So, how do you frame this then? You know, a lot of people believe that this is one of the single biggest changes really to our sovereignty. Do you think that's going a bit too far? Is that how you would read it?
I think it's a significant shift of sovereignty to the European Union. And, you know, we understand the European Union in general is a positive. We support, obviously, the trade and the economics, the cooperation around those issues. But for Aintu, we do believe in self-determination. So we believe that decisions made closer to the people that they represent are better decisions because you can influence those decisions and you can hold the decision makers to account. But when you offload or outsource the significant decision making to Brussels, in many situations, you can't actually influence them. And on some occasions, the European Union has made decisions to Ireland's detriment. So, for example, the whole bank bailout situation, you know, we know that Jean-Claude Trichet rang Michael Noonan and literally threatened him that if he didn't accept the European bailout system, that an economic bomb would go off in Dublin. And that was his words. So, you know, in that situation, we had to take 40% of the cost of the European bailout onto the Irish taxpayer, even though the Irish taxpayer is only 1%. And that worked out about €9,000 per person, per man, woman and child. And it significantly affected the 10 years after that in terms of investment. So when you transfer sovereignty to another organisation such as Brussels, it can have a detrimental effect. Now, the problem we have with the EU migration pact is, listen, nobody knows the future. We don't know how much pressure is going to come on the European Union or Ireland in terms of the number of people who want to come to this country.
Well, just in relation to that, do you think, because as I say, you know, in the lead up to this, we were trying to get voices that would actually, you know, not, because we do an awful lot of this in this country as to what floodgates it might open, right? But obviously sometimes that can be very fearful on one side, or very, it's actually brilliant because it protects us from this on the other side. And often the truth lies somewhere in between. Very hard to get a clear message in relation to this. But I said a little earlier on, and I think it didn't land how I intended it to land. Between 2020 and 2024, I believe Ireland took around about 1.3% of asylum applications across the whole EU. One must presume, if we're joining this type of a pact, that the other member states that are taking much more than us are going to say, well, Ireland needs to be doing more lifting here.
Yeah, so first of all, we know that there has been a radical increase in the number of movements of people into the European Union just in the last 2 or 3 years. And we also know that there's a significant movement of those people to countries for sure, like Italy and Greece and even Spain, who are on the front line in many ways in relation to this. And you do have to have a system of some sort where there's burden sharing. But if we get back to the heart of one of the reasons that movement of people has happened is because most European countries have been at 6s and 7s in terms of managing this properly. Our own government have basically set up a system whereby a person come into the country, often without any documentation whatsoever, and spend up to 10 years applying for application, having the decision made or appealing the decision all the way to the courts. So that message sends out that actually Ireland is a soft touch in terms of people coming to this country. Now, what we want to aim to is a system that actually does help people who are really fleeing from war and violence. If a bomb is landing on a person's home in a country, we should have the moral responsibility to try and help in those situations. But where the system is broken down is that it hasn't differentiated properly between those who need them and those who don't need them.
But to some extent there, Paddy, you sound like you're actually arguing for the EU Migration Pact.
See, there are step forwards in the EU Migration Pact. So I'll be honest and say that to people. The EU Migration Pact in many ways is a stricter system than the status quo that exists. But our point is that most of those stricter elements could actually be introduced by the nation states and still sovereignty be maintained. Because the danger is, and I asked the Taoiseach on the floor of the Dáil, how much is this going to cost? And the Taoiseach said he doesn't know. So the Taoiseach has committed Ireland to this project, both politically and now through law, to a project where he has no idea how much it's going to cost in the future. Now, obviously, if we control the powers in terms of who comes to the country, but then we can ameliorate potential costs to Ireland in the future. But now that we've outsourced it, we can't control it.
But does this not, if we are part of Europe, does this not offer better protections to Europe as a whole? I think it's very clear in political circles that uncontrolled immigration is not a vote winner. It's bad. We are certainly in a cycle where we're seeing things toughen up in that regard, okay? So if that is going to happen pan-Europe, pan-EU, is it not better then that we have access to the shared resources of that? Because it's like, as I say, uncontrolled, we saw that in the EU elections, uncontrolled immigration is a big no-no, and it's clear. You've seen the change in language yourself. You would have been seen as a hardliner a year ago, 18 months ago, and now to some extent you seem quite liberal in your points of view, such as the political landscape changed.
Yeah, and this is the amazing thing, and one of the problems this points to is in the political system. There's an awful lot of the political system who just go with whichever way the wind blows. So Aontú clearly said in 2019 that we must have a sustainable and managed migration policy. We got hammered from on high for even saying those things. And even as short as a year and a half ago, the establishment parties, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael and Sinn Féin, were hammering Aontú because we were saying that we need to have common sense in terms of what was happening. But now all of those political parties are stealing our clothes from our wardrobe at the moment. But that's the influence a small party can have on the debate, and that's what we're proud of being able to have that debate. But going to your question, see, there's no doubt that we need a stricter policy throughout Europe, but we need to maintain sovereignty over those decisions, because I have no doubt in the future decisions will be made which will be against Ireland's interests. And Ireland is already a net contributor to the basis of billions of euros a year to the European Union. There's no situation that's going to happen in the future where actually Ireland is going to be quids in terms of this solidarity pool. This solidarity pool will be a draw on both our resources and in terms of numbers. And remember, this solidarity pool that's at the heart of the EU Migration Pact is on top of the numbers who are already coming to Ireland. So this is not just, that we are going to, recalibrate all the people who are coming to Ireland. The people who are coming to Ireland will come to Ireland, but the solidarity pool will add to that. And the danger too, and this is a really important issue, is in future, the EU will be able to change the rules of the EU Migration Pact on the basis of a qualified majority vote. And that means we won't have a veto, we won't have an opt-out at that stage, and we'll just have to do what we're told. And we have this opt-out along with Denmark, and we could exercise it, and we could actually align a lot of the Eurodac and security.
We can cherry pick the 6 key elements of this. But listen, people aren't happy with how this vote was pushed through here. I want to talk to you a little bit about that in a moment. But we'll go to that right now. People feel that this has been pushed through, that that there was enough time given to it. We saw this with the defective concrete block as well. That there seemed to be let's get it through in 5 hours. Then it was deferred, and people saying, well, why is it deferred? And then it was passed late last night. And it was passed by a very slim majority, 79 to 73. A lot of people, all of that element of how this has come about and given the significance of it is not resting easy with people, with how, sort of politics is working in this country.
Yeah, so basically, really, this only appeared into general debate probably around February, March, April of this year. So this was tipping away for sure in the European Union for the last couple of years, but really hasn't come into general debate until that period of time. And interestingly, it was practically disappeared as an issue until after the local and European elections. And that was done strategically by Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael and the Greens, because they didn't want it to be part of the debate for the European elections. So they left it till just afterwards, so it wouldn't become a defining factor on how people are going to vote. And then again, in the Dáil, we have this system where, it happens in a very fast period. Something like this should actually be teased out properly, sometimes in by way of referendums, so that actually you have a citizens' engagement with an issue such as this. But of course, the government don't do those types of politics. They use politics to ram through their objectives. And, people often say, well, this was undemocratic in the way it's done. People have to realize that the government will use every tool they have within the law, of course, and I have to say that, to achieve their objectives.
Well, this is probably a good time for me to say that we've, and listen, we have, generally speaking, we don't have any problem with accessing people on this programme, thankfully, at all different levels of politics. We're very lucky in that regard. We've reached out to 5, 6, 7, I think it was 8 in the end of people who endorsed this or voted for this, and none of them were available. So in case this conversation seems a little bit skewed, trust me, the voices that we normally get on lots of different things weren't available to us today. I just want to put one final point to you. The public might say, people might feel that we couldn't implement the current system. We heard the figures. A lot of them were, in fairness to Ainto and yourself, a lot of them were attained by you in terms of, deportations and all this kind of stuff, and the implementation and the slowness of the system. Why, if we sign up to a new system, should or could people have any faith on the implementation of that? Let's not forget there are other EU rules that we're currently paying millions upon millions a year because we can't implement them correctly, okay? So it's not like we have a full card on this. So if we can't implement what we had, even though it wasn't right, some would say, we still have to be responsible for implementing this. Where are these detention centres going to go?
I think your point is one of the most important points of this whole debate. So, for example, Ireland is already signed up to the Dublin III Convention, and this is where we can return people to countries in which they were registered first. But in that process, out of 180 people who were agreed to be transferred back to their own countries, Ireland only transferred 3 of them. Ireland is signed up to a myriad of different commitments to the European Union and is failing on a rake of them and is paying fines on the basis of tens of millions of euros a year in non-fulfilling those commitments. The European EU fined Ireland 2.5 million last year for our wastewater issues, 1.5 million for the environmental impact assessment issues, 17 million euros because of the Derrybrine wind farm, 2 million euros because of the money laundering directive. And we're going to come to 2030 and we're not going to meet our CO2 reduction targets. And Ireland will be fined hundreds of millions of euros. So this government pretends this is some kind of magic wand to deal with the issues. But it's not, because in the end of the day, we still have to have a processing time. And that processing time can only be determined by funding people who will process. And, at the back of this European Migration Pact is, if we don't fulfill the requirements, there will be legal process against us, and we will get fined. We're setting ourselves up for a fall here.
I didn't see the debate here. To be honest with you, I didn't get an opportunity to access it. But another elephant in the room for me is, by the government's own figures, the majority of people coming into Ireland illegally at the moment, well, they're not illegal once they land in here, but coming into Ireland at the moment, coming from Britain / Northern Ireland, aka the UK. Rishi Sunak has already said, because it would prove his Rwanda plan is working, he ain't taking these people back. So the EU Border and Immigration Pact that's so controversial and that we've signed up to has no provision actually to deal with the main source of immigration into this country, because 90% are coming in from UK. They're not part of this pact. They're not taking these people back. So really all this is really to deal with what, the 10 or 15%, and then whatever comes in on top of that. Again, as I hope that was raised in the doll. I didn't get to see much of the debate at all, but it doesn't make any sense to a lot of people.
No, you're right, and it was only because of Aontú's questions that the minister actually copped on that about 80% of people were coming from the north of Ireland into the south in terms of applications. But you're completely right in terms of, if we want to solve 80 to 90% of this issue, we need to solve that issue with the London government. And in truth, the London government will only solve this with us if it has a solution with the French government, because it wants to be able, it won't accept returns from the southern state unless France will accept returns from Britain. So leaving Britain out of any discussions or negotiations in this is a mistake. And that's why we aim to have called for Ireland, Britain and France to sit down and have a discussion to actually resolve that. That would actually fix it. I actually think that this EU migration pact is not going to work, because countries like Hungary and Poland are just not going to accept it, to be honest. And what you're going to find is that it's a sticking plaster for a political problem that the European Union wants to put in place, so that it can do better in the elections.
Another concern, though, is when the big nations on mainland Europe don't want to play ball, and I'm thinking farming and fishing. Where does Brussels generally go to find a solution, or who are the whipping boys, or who will curtsy? And it's often Ireland. I'm not fear mongering, because I don't really know where this is going to go. And to be honest with you, as far as I am aware, it could be good for Ireland. I don't know. All I know is that Ireland currently is a backdoor into European citizenship. We have no way of no agreement with the British to deal with people escaping the Rwanda plan. These are people that have been living in Britain. They haven't just landed yesterday. They've been there for 5-10 years. They don't want to go to Rwanda. They want EU citizenship. They come here, get naturalised or whatever the process is, and then they're free to move wherever they want to. So we are actually creating a funnel, I believe, into Ireland. I don't mean that fearful, because I don't think a lot of these people even want to stay here. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not scared of a depopulation or replacement as much as some might be. But Ireland needs to be prepared.
Yeah, I think at the heart of Ireland's EU policy for the last 20 or 30 years has the instinct to be the best boy in the class. And in other words, to be very meek and gentle in terms of its negotiations with the EU for our national interests. And that has been our biggest problems. And that's one of the reasons why 15% of all the fish that's actually fished in Irish waters are fished by Irish fishermen and fisherwomen, and the rest is actually fished by European fishermen. So we need to become far more robust in terms of our engagements with the European Union. Other countries have no problem with being robust, fighting for their national interest, and that's how the system works. But unfortunately, that's not the instinct of Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, and the Greens at all. And secondly, we do need a situation whereby Ireland holds the powers that we have in Leinster House, because if Brussels does something that we don't like, we can do nothing about it. We can't get rid of Brussels, or we can't get rid of the regime in Brussels. But if the government here does something that we don't like, we can fire them at the next election. And that's the beauty of democracy. That's the beauty of self-determination. And that's the beauty of sovereignty. And this decision by Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael and the Greens to hand over that sovereignty to the European Union is a major mistake. And it's one that's going to come back to bite this country in the future.
We shall see. My apologies if that sounded more like a discussion than an interview, but I have to represent the views of the people contacting the show as well. And despite our best efforts, we couldn't get anyone who voted or supported the pact to come on and discuss that this morning. As I say, it's not that we have issues generally getting people on. It just seems to be this issue, or they're on holidays or whatever it might be. Padraig Tobin, thanks very much indeed. How unusual, by the way, before I let you go, how unusual is it that you get on the phone to... a senior official from a council at account?
A senior official?
Yeah, you're the returning officer? You had a convo with them on the telephone?
Obviously. Yeah, no, this is the returning officer in...
Is that unusual that in Letterkenny, obviously, just for those who not be aware, Mary T. Sweeney, it was during the election time, there was question marks as to who would get eliminated, and there was not many votes and what have you. You must have got a call... and thought it worth to pursue that. And we're not going to rehearse that. It was perfectly good, and I think everyone was very pleased to see democracy in action. It's not controversial. Just wondering how unusual it might be.
Yeah, and I would say fair play to Mary T, because one of her statements after that was to say that democracy had been done, and she accepted the results and the will of the people in relation to that. And she's a wonderful candidate, and I want to thank her and her team. It's not massively unusual, believe it or not. Most returning officers operate on the basis of common sense and cooperation. So, for example, there was a recount in another part of the country, and I spoke to the returning officer on the phone there. There was another recount in a third place in the country, and actually that was a very robust situation where the returning officer didn't really engage at all with the teams. And the problem is in those situations is that when cooperation leaves the room, the instincts of political parties is to tool up in terms of senior counsel and barristers then. That actually, draws out the whole process in a far slower manner. So most political parties will operate in common sense situations in terms of counts. And some will go over the top a little bit in terms of robustness, but a good returning officer will manage that in a common sense, logical way. And that's what happened in Donegal.
Yeah, for sure. All right, great stuff. Thanks for that. Just curious. Thank you very much indeed. Padraig Tobin there, Deputy Padraig Tobin, I should say, who is leader of Ain't Do.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 Til Noon Show on Highland Radio.
The championship has reached the quarter-final stage. This weekend, Donegal face off with Louth for the first time ever in the championship as they meet in the last 8 at Croke Park. Join Oisín Kelly, Brendan Devaney and Martin McHugh for full live match commentary from 1:05 across the Northwest, on air, online and on your smart speaker. Donegal action in this year's Senior Football Championship is with Highland Motors in Letterkenny. The Renault 242 new model range includes the car of the year, the Scenic, the new Capture and the stunning SUV crossover, the Rafale. New models with something to suit everyone from Renault.
Summer entertainment in the Great Northern Hotel Bundoran. Friday, July the 5th, the one and only Nathan Carter and his band, with special guest David James. Hear all your favourite Nathan Carter hits and more. Tickets $36.50 plus booking fee. On sale now from the hotel reception and Ticketmaster.ie. Presented by Joe Gallagher Entertainments.
Summer is here, so it's time to make your outdoor space the ultimate oasis with garden furniture from Easy Living Furniture. And with free delivery on all items, now really is the time to let your garden shine. Visit Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park, Derry, Londonderry.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, Easy Living has it all. Easy Living Furniture, luxury furnishings, affordable luxury.
Be a winner and view the trophy collection at Brian McCormick Sports. Full colour awards, glass and crystal, perpetual cups and shields, sports awards, metal cups and medals. Whatever the occasion, click bmcsports.ie. Budget medals for sports days with personalised inserts to promote your club and school. Full engraving service available at Brian McCormick Sports, Main Street, Letterkenny.
Check out the new summer ranges now in stock at Watson Menswear, Letterkenny. Top casual brands include Mishmash, French Connection, Tommy Bow, and Penguin. If you're going to a big event, great formal wear names include Rimazumo, Sixth Sense, and White Label, with special packages available for wedding parties. Watson Menswear open 7 days a week on Main Street, Letterkenny, and at watsonmenswear.com.
Okay, we've a very big band of loyal stream watchers. Always nice to see you say hello, pop up and say hello. There are hundreds of you watching across our platforms and on our website, so if you want to say hello, please do. We have regulars who check in, about 3 dozen of them regulars that check in every day, and it's great to see they're there. And then when they don't check in, I wonder where Beth is. Beth is normally watching at this stage. Where is she? So if you want to check in on our social media, if you're watching the show, please do. It's lovely to see you there. Right, Andreas is in Sweden and joins us on the program now. Good morning, Andreas.
Hi, good morning, Greg.
Good to chat to you. Right, okay. Your view on representative democracy, and a note in your email, representative is in quotes. Talk to me.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's very representative anymore. I got the idea was brilliant when communication and transportation was an issue, and so they were bottlenecks, and so people were sending representatives to parliament or government. But now when we have the tools to vote across the whole of Europe on a song, in a song contest, I think people could be asked more directly and maybe don't need representatives, because this whole representative is very expensive. Essentially, they are not really accountable anyway. Once they are there, they can sit out their time. It's very slow and inefficient, especially because of that. And then most of the parties that won't vote for, they offer a package deal. So they're not really representative in that sense as well. By package deal, I mean that I might agree on the politics regarding schools or immigration or climate or whatever with one party, but not on other issues. And then I agree with the views of other parties on the other issues. But I need to pick one, and then that's representing me in all of the issues, when in reality I only really agree with them on one.
So the connection between you and decisions that are made, really, it's a maze that it would be very hard to trace back your democratic vote really to the processes in Europe. But I haven't really heard this point articulated as well as you have, Andreas, but it's a very interesting point. You know, how democratic is representative democracy? Because you talk about packages and what have you. Ireland's representatives are being asked really to vote in favour of Ursula von der Leyen, because that means that the former finance minister might get a plum job in Europe. It's back scratching, a lot of it seems.
Yes, exactly. And then let's say even that they would represent you. Part of the politics is actually to make compromises, if you like, back scratching, but not necessarily, because you might get some tangible benefits for your actual voters. But it could be that they're making compromises on an issue that really was key for you when you voted for them, in order to get a policy through in another issue that wasn't really important for you. And then they can say that, well, we're still representing what our voters voted for, because we are, okay in 9 out of 10 points that we promised in our campaign. But the one point that I was very interested in, and that's what set them apart and I voted for them, is the one where they are making a compromise. So the other 9, they might represent still, but they are not representing me anymore in that sense. So it's a bit a tricky situation. And also with representatives, I think the possibility of what you put back scratching, but also lobbying from big industrial interests is much higher than if people are votes. So like you can pay off one representative easily with any kind of benefit, but it's difficult to do that with the entire county of Donegal. Or if they do, then the entire county of Donegal benefits from it, right? Because everyone gets something.
Andreas, I mean, listen. If you went to the public with every decision, obviously, it would be very difficult.
No, you can't. It has to be important decisions. Yeah.
So, in other words, maybe in attitudes towards conflict, finance, immigration, do you think there should be a key set of things that the public pan-Europe, pan-EU are consulted on, rather than this representative democracy you describe, Is that how you would see a better system? Is that your better system?
Yeah, I think so. I'm a scientist. I'm a researcher, and the way it works in science is that if you have a new idea or a proposal, it goes through an expert panel. So you need to show a cost-benefit potential evaluation for your project. And this could be the same. It needs to go through an expert panel. If you want to reform healthcare, or if you want to have anything on migration, it needs to go through experts that would analyze it carefully and then propose different routes to the public where the public could vote for it. And then they would see, the potential benefits and the potential cost of all of this, as opposed to ideas lifted by politicians.
Yeah,
and of course it needs
kind
to
of
be
talks to
true
another
to key issues.
Yeah, but also, Andreas, I mean, you said you're a scientist, or a scientist you said you are, yeah?
I'm a chemist.
Chemist, okay, right. So it's a broad field, a broad field, right? And you probably are quite knowledgeable in a broad area, but you have specific expertise that you formulate what you formulate, and then you kick it up the chain and what have you. Politics is kind of strange in that, we've got, say, for instance, our new finance minister here is a background in law, yet he's now going to be in charge of a multi-billion euro budget, or is he? That is the question. I don't know. Yeah. It's funny, isn't it, that in areas of things like science and chemistry or what have you, we make sure, I'm not going to put you in working on a project that you don't know much about, because that'd be a waste of your skill set, Andreas, but it doesn't seem to apply to politics, really. It's about who you know, who your dad was, who your mom was. If you're being,
absolutely.
You know what I mean. It's a crazy old system. We all are asked to be a part of.
I totally agree, and it's funny how people buy this, because it's always been so. But in reality, you wouldn't take your car for repair to your local grocer. I mean, you would take it to a car mechanic, but you wouldn't ask your neighbor who's seen all the episodes of ER to do a surgery on your kid. You would take it to a doctor. Yeah. But you trust these politicians to make decisions about everything that they have absolutely no background in. Exactly right.
All right, okay. Yeah. Andreas, I think I've spoke to you before, and I think I've asked you before. Do you have connections to the northwest of Ireland?
I just love that place. Whenever I have a chance, I go and visit Donegal. I really love Donegal.
All right, listen, great.
And I listen to your show all the time.
I love that. I love it. In Sweden. You're based in Sweden.
I'm in the very north, close to the Arctic Circle. Yes.
Okay, right. So when we all get excited about the Northern Lights, you're like, what?
Yeah, exactly. That's like common occurrence. No, not really. But yeah, that's truly exciting day. But it's much more visible here than in Donegal. Yeah. Even when you say really nice ones, they are much stronger here.
All right, Andreas, take care of yourself. Thanks so much. That's Andreas listening in Sweden, and I always find it fascinating to hear from or speak to people who listen to the program that might visit here but aren't necessarily from here. And there are regular listeners, and if you're one of them, just let us know. We don't have to talk to you. Just let us know where you listen from on a daily or other day basis. 00353 8660 25,000. I always find that fascinating. Or if you're listening to the podcast or the overnight, email us comments@highlandradio.com, or indeed throw a comment. Look, there's Beth. Beth, I picked that name out of the sky because I see your name, Beth, so often. Beth's watching us on YouTube. Hiya, Beth McDade. Lovely to have you on board. Right, let me see. I think I have to take a quick break. We have loads of comments coming. It's been a really one of those shows whereby a lot of you feel motivated to take the phone out and text us in. We know you're there, but it's always nice to when it's really busy on the text, because we get a real sense of that. And this show is so important, of course, and only the show's not important. Sorry. What makes the show important is listeners, because without them, I'm just sitting here waffling in an empty room. Some say I do that anyway.
I'm through with play.
The blockbuster production of Wicked returns to the Bordgash Energy Theatre, Dublin. Winner of over 100 Golden Globes and 10 Tony Awards, ranked in the West End's top 10 longest-running musicals of all time, and a show that has been seen by 65 million people worldwide. Join Highland Radio Friday 9th of August as we take part in the magic. Call us today at 07491 25000 or book your place through the outlet at highlandradio.com.
At Hickey, Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers, they compare quotes from all the leading insurers, so you get a great price. Home, motor and van, farm, holiday home, travel and liability insurance, they quote them all. So if the worst happens, you're covered. For a competitive insurance quote today, call Hickey Clark and Langan on 9126688 or pop into their office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Irwin Expert Electrical, your trusted destination for all things home appliances, electrical and entertainment in the Northwest. With over 50 years of leading the way, we pride ourselves on offering a diverse range of products under one roof. From top brands like LG, Samsung, Cooker, Bosch, Apple and more, take advantage of our free layaway service where you can store your new items until you're ready for them. Perfect for renovations and new build projects. Visit Irwin Expert Electrical today in Letterkenny or Buncrana.
Pre-orders for the 242 models have begun at iMotors, and you won't want to miss these incredible offers from Nissan. Enjoy 3.99% finance across the entire Nissan range, including the SUV of the year, the Nissan X-Trail. Prefer electric? Get 0% finance on the Nissan Leaf, or save a whopping €10,000. Visit our showroom in Drumkeen or Malin today and take a test drive. These offers are limited, so hurry and take advantage now.
iMotors, fearless generation.
If you need an eye test, look no further than Louis Walsh Opticians. Letterkenny's longest established opticians are delighted to welcome patients new and old to their state-of-the-art practice in the Courtyard Shopping Centre. Their latest technology includes a 3D OCT retinal camera which assesses the health of your eyes in minutes. Private, medical card and PRSI patients welcome. Call 91-21000 to arrange your eye test.
Louis Walsh Opticians, Letterkenny. Your vision, our focus.
So we were chatting earlier to Dennis. He was coming in to flag a public information meeting on defective concrete in Dunloe next Tuesday night, but also referenced his recent trip to Galway. He had to go down for a scan to check his system and had to leave at 4, got there at 9, got there a little bit late, but the consultant there was saying, look, an awful lot of people have to travel down here. And then we were worried, I do worry about those that get those letters and don't take on that trip or that journey because they don't want to, they can't, they don't have a vehicle, they can't get access to a bus, whatever it might be. Paul's joining us as well, who's got an experience of heading to Galway. Paul, how are you getting on?
No, not so bad at all, Greg.
Good stuff. All right, the
Fine
story
now,
starts with an infection in your foot, and take it from there, Paul.
Yeah, well, Greg, I'm the type 2 diabetic, you see, and I got an infection in my foot. And actually, when I first got it, it started to clear up again with antibiotics, and I thought it was fine, but then it came back on me, and it was a bank holiday weekend at the end of October. And on the bank holiday Monday, I had to go to the hospital in Letterkenny because my toe had turned black.
Okay.
So I spent the night up in Letterkenny in A&E, and then the following morning I was taken by ambulance to Galway. And I spent the day in Galway and got the toe amputated. So, but what I was stating is, to me it was something simple, and it was up and down to Galway, and my wife, I'm a man in my 60s, and my wife had to make the same journey 2 or 3 times up and down as well, just to visit me,
And how long
and
were
then
you
to bring me home again.
How long were you in with the amputate? Oh, after the toe was amputated, Paul?
8 days.
Right. Okay.
No, it was 8 days, but even after the 8 days, they were saying that I have to stay another week, but thank God I didn't have to.
And of course, they were making sure that everything was going according to plan. But you're saying, why was I taken to Letterkenny for such what would probably be seen as a simple procedure?
Correct, yeah. That's what I didn't understand. I was in the vascular ward down in Galway as well. That's why I rang in, because it's the same ward. But the care I got in Galway, I couldn't fault it. Excellent. And the post-op care I've had since was excellent. I can't fault any of the care I got.
Okay.
It's just the travelling up and down to Galway for what to me was a minor procedure.
Yeah, doesn't make sense, does it?
No, as you say, it's 4.5 hours up, 4.5 hours down.
And you only had to do it once. Your poor wife had to do it a few times.
She had to do it 3 times. Yeah. That was it. And I say it's not like you can just go down and book in somewhere, because I don't know if you know what Galway is. Very hard to get anywhere.
All right, Paul. It's an interesting point, well made. How are you feeling now? Are you okay?
Oh, I'm perfectly well. It's like it never happened now, Greg, to be honest with you. Like, so.
All right, good stuff.
That's just
Listen, thanks for helping us highlight the situation again, Paul. Take care of yourself and best wishes to you and your wife.
Right, thanks.
All right, bye-bye.
Cheers, Greg.
Take care, bye-bye. We're joined on the programme now by Karina Malloy, author of A Woman in Defence. Karina, good morning to you.
Good morning, hi.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Okay, no problem. I nearly didn't get there after waiting all morning.
Oh, my apologies.
I pressed the wrong button.
Okay. A judge-led tribunal examining the complaints process around sexual abuse and discrimination in the Defence Forces has begun with an appeal for potential witnesses to come forward. I suppose this has been labelled the Women of Honour Tribunal. From your perspective, you initially flagged your concerns in 2019, calling for action and accountability and indeed an apology. So what does this mean to you and your fight for justice, I suppose?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I just want to acknowledge that, just want to say that I'm no longer a member of the Women of Honour group. And so whatever I say now is my own opinion. And I just want to acknowledge the courage and the bravery of the one woman that did actually start the Women of Honour group. And unfortunately, I can't even name her because she still wants to stay anonymous. Mm-hmm. But I have to admire her bravery and her courage. And I'm wondering how she's feeling today or on Monday. That would be a bittersweet sort of, accolade that the tribunal has started now. But it all stemmed from her and her ability to get Katie Hannon to come on board for our original documentary. Because of the brave women that were in that documentary, a few of the women that are now in the current Women of Honour group didn't actually flatly refuse to come into the documentary, but yet they are now front and centre of the group. But aside from that, yes, the 4 A's that we looked for initially, the acknowledgement, the apology, the action and the accountability, it is wonderful that we've got 2 out of 3. 2 out of 4 of those A's, the acknowledgement and the action. So we've got the tribunal now, and now we hope that we will get the accountability. Now, Simon Coveney, when he was the Minister of Defence at the time, when I was still in the Women of Honour, he said that he would give us a public apology when the IRG report came out. But that we're still waiting for that public apology. He, of course, is now no longer the Minister of Defence. But we're still waiting for our public apology because the IRG report was nothing damning from the Defence Forces point of view and how they treated women. So, it'd be up to the minister now, but he probably will wait until the end of the 3-year tribunal. So, but anyway, we've got there.
But you've waited decades for this. So, 3 years does seem like a long time, but you've waited decades, and if the right outcome is arrived at, and there is the right level of accountability and that apology, it's worth the wait potentially for the extra 3 years.
Yeah, well, it'll be over 40 years for me, because it was 40 years ago. I had my first microaggression when I joined the army because of my gender. So yeah, an extra 3 years won't make any difference. I'll be at that stage an old age pensioner, so I don't mind. I'll be sitting back waiting for it.
Okay. Can you recount your I know you have before, and I'm sorry to sort of drag you over old coals again, Karina, but your experience of being in the army and making statements, the reaction to those statements, you being seen, and the way you were seen in your own words, if that's okay, Karina.
Yeah. Well, I'm not pushing my book, but there's a lot of. I buried my soul in the book.
Yeah, no, and listen, push it. And the book, A Woman in Defence, by the way, so it's still there, still available. Don't be shy to give it a plug. My God, you lived your experience.
Okay,
and
there you are.
There you go. That's what I like to see. All right, Karina.
So, yeah, but the one thing that really hurt me was after all my publicity and everything else, it was the veterans attacking me for doing and stepping up and stepping out of line. And they accused me of unspeakable things on Facebook. And that's the real hurtful thing from all of this.
But do they not know, Karina, that you were, that it's actually probably, I can't put words in your mouth, but it's because you care, presumably, yes, that you want to highlight, and also, too, for those that follow you, there's almost a duty of care to them to ensure that things don't change. Sweeping things under the carpet never got us anywhere in this country.
No. Well, this country doesn't do accountability, and it sweeps everything under the carpet. But my whole aim for the book and for originally joining the Woman of Honour was, of course, to help every other young girl in the likes of, now I was speaking in Donegal, the likes of the young female private isolated up in Finner Camp, and is going through horrendous time, to allow her to say, well, look, Karina Malloy and so, they all went through it, and there is an avenue there. There is an avenue now open for me to get help, and that's why I exposed myself to, and that's why I stayed for 31 years to try and make a difference. As I've always said, if you want to change the room, you have to stay in the room. Because by leaving the army because they constructively dismiss you're not helping yourself, and you're not helping others. You have to put the head down and stay and try and make a difference. And that's what I tried to do.
And just one other reaction, one other question to the reaction from veterans to your book. Obviously, you suffered horrible abuse and commentary. Did that outweigh the good? Because I presume, and I would hope, there were some that said, "Look, this story needed to be told. Fair play to you. You've got the best motivation to do this." Or was it mostly negative towards you, Karina, I wonder, from the veterans?
Yeah, no. Thankfully, there was only a chosen few of those nasty remarks, and thank God, a lot of veterans came to my rescue, and they were actually told to get a grip and
wind your neck in, yeah,
and to take them down, and they were actually eventually taken down.
Will you speak?
It did hurt at the time, of course, but anyway.
No, of course, and those that can take a time to heal. Will you be giving evidence at the tribunal? Is it something you're looking forward to?
I'm not looking forward to it, but because it's dredging up and opening old wounds again. But yes, absolutely, I will of course be given evidence to the tribunal, and I'd like to urge other people at this stage to come forward. And I think maybe perhaps people are under the illusion or under the impression that you have to belong to one of the stakeholders groups. You have to approach the Woman of Honour, or you have to approach the Defence Forces Alliance or the Irish Men and Women of Honour. But you don't. You can go in as an individual, ring the tribunal helpline, get help from them, get your legal representation, which I have yet to do, and write your statement and go in and hold your head high and do your oral statement. And I just want to emphasise also, if you're afraid to say it in public, the tribunal is giving the option to do it in private.
Miss Justice Power said it's not about winning or losing, but establishing the truth. Is that how you see it too?
Oh yes, absolutely. As the good Buddha said, there's three things you can't hide. Can't hide the sun or the moon or the truth. The truth will eventually come out.
Okay.
And yeah.
Can you hold your book up for me again one more time, please?
Sure.
It is A Woman in Defence, the story of the enemy within the Irish Army. Karina Malloy wrote that book. And I think it's very insightful. If you hear about the Women of Honour or what used to go on, and as Karina mentioned, she's no longer a member of that organisation. But if you actually want to know the lived experience of what went on, and certainly with a local perspective, I would strongly recommend that book. And I really appreciate your time, Karina. Thank you so very much. And sorry if I kept you waiting. My apologies. Have a wonderful day.
That's okay, Greg. Thank you very much for having me. Thanks.
086 60 25,000, the WhatsApp and text number. Weather on the way.
McDade's Bathroom Plumbing Tiles Buncrana annual stock take will take place this Saturday. McDade's will close at 5 p.m. on Friday and will remain closed on Saturday the 29th. McDade's will reopen again on Monday the 1st of July. McDade's Bathroom Plumbing Tiles would like to thank you for your understanding.
Nutrice Intensive Lamb and Nutrice Lamb Crib Crunch lamb feeds are now on promotion at your local Homeland. Buy 10 bags, get one free, or or get €15 off per tonne in bulk. Nutrius Intensive Lamb Feed contains intake booster for higher intakes, better thrive and faster finish. T's and C's apply. Contact your local Homeland or farm commercial specialist today. Visit nutrius.ie for full product details.
Don't wait or dream of having that perfect smile. David McConville Orthodontics in Donegal Town has expanded and are thrilled to announce that they are now taking on new patients with no waiting list. Let us prioritise you and start your new smile journey today. Visit davidmcconvilleorthodontics.ie or call 074 97235506. David McConville Orthodontics Donegal Town, creating smiles with care.
When it comes to your business, you want to move forward, upgrade, advance, expand. Make it possible with Opel's award-winning commercial vehicle range. The new Opel Combo, Vivaro and Movano in diesel or 100% electric. And now all available with flexible payment options and a 5-year warranty. The Opel commercial vehicle range. Carriers of possibilities. Find out more about our 242 offers at Manor Motors Opel. See manormotors.ie for details.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhinney's. Make your sterling go further with our new cash sales exchange rate at €1.20 for every £1 spent in store. No matter the weather, visit us in Ballybuffet for all your fashion, beauty, gifting and homeware needs this summer.
Well, you could sail to Ballybuffet today. Cool, wet and rather windy. Blustery outbreaks of rain extending across the region into the afternoon and evening. Cool with temperatures of 13 to 15 degrees. And you will have noticed it is unseasonably windy too, with fresh to strong and gusty westerly winds. The weather Saturday and Sunday, not terrible, by the way. Thanks so much for all of you texting in on the programme. We voted no, says this listener, for the Lisbon Treaty twice. They've pushed it through against the will of the people. We need a referendum on migration and neutrality. Greg, they can throw out all the old statistics they like. 1.1 sounds like nothing. People walking down the street in Letterkenny or any other large or small town in Ireland can see with their own eyes the number of non-Irish people in this country. And it certainly feels like a hell of a lot more than 1.1%. Load of rubbish, these stats. And I think government will find that out in the general election. Generally, the majority are in more populated areas. I did notice in Galway recently, in Dublin recently, the demographic has changed significantly already. Why was this not put to the people? Because they know the same as the last referendum, they'd get hammered. Another. In all honesty, why does Ireland have to take a share of the burden? Most of the asylum seekers are from non-war-torn countries. The whole idea, by the way, is that this new system will weed out economic migrants and what have you. But anyway, a lot of people wouldn't have faith in that. Why should we accept anyone who comes here illegally without paperwork? We are kowtowing to NGOs who know the facts. Look at all the crossings, the border from the UK, never mind Europe. Ireland's TD sold out its people. Maybe it's not a united Ireland on the cards, but Irexit is possible the only way now. Well, the British tried it and they're seeing record numbers, despite what the Prime Minister is saying. They're seeing record numbers of people arriving into their country. So leaving Europe didn't fix that. Could Charlie McConalogue and Joe McHugh explain why they voted yes? Well, Charlie McConalogue has a long-established stance now that he won't speak to this programme while I am presenting it. Joe McHugh's at an event, I'm told, and was trying to squeeze us in between 12 but couldn't. I think that the conversation regarding the EU migration is like trying to bolt a gate after the horse has gone. This should have been brought up before the elections. The public wanted a debate, but nobody would entertain it. Another, I think the government should not have opted into this. The people need to vote. It should have been the question in the referendum and let the people decide. This was rammed through and has put Ireland in an awful position. I just cried last night seeing this, says a listener. I've read that one. Please... I think that the conversation regarding the EU migration is like, wow, I've got doubled up here. I really think that Ireland should get out of the EU. It's not good for Ireland with all the regulations they're putting on us. They don't realise that farming is very important to us here in Ireland. They're blaming us for carbon. I wonder too, the farmers going to get under more pressure now because, see, the transport carbon reductions, that ain't happening. People aren't buying electric cars anymore for a number of reasons. The charging infrastructure is woeful, some would say. Also, the second-hand resale value of electric cars has dropped because the new purchase price of cars has dropped, so people aren't buying electric cars in the same numbers anymore. And we're supposed to have, what, 1 million electric cars, carbon neutral at the exhaust by 2030. That's not happening, so who's going to pick up the slack? I would say the farmers will probably be high on the list there, unfortunately. Ursula von der Leyen should not be supported by Ireland. We should be supporting innocent children being killed in Gaza. It's absolutely disgusting. But what bothers me most about that is the reason, and it's front and centre. It's been said by Leo Varadkar, the former Prime Minister himself, the former Taoiseach himself. He said that we have a better chance of getting Michael McGrath a better job if we vote for her. Funny old way of working, but that's the way it is. Please say a big hello to Isha Reid, who is the best sister to her brother. Love from Mammy. Isha attends the Autism Support House in Elms. Lots of lovely words about Elms as well. Well done, girls. Brilliant service, and it's an honour to work with children and carers. And also too, we got a donation, by the way, to pay for a bus. You didn't give me that info, did you? He doesn't want named, but it's a good donation. So we had a caller who listens to the show, by the way, after that appeal, and is paying for a bus trip, which will lighten the load somewhat, which is fantastic, isn't it? I love this show, and I love the people that listen to it, and I love this county and everything we stand for. Right, back tomorrow at 9 with the usual Friday panel and other stuff as well. John's next. Have a good Thursday.